Hello, hello, welcome back. Yes, it's very nice to see you here. We are today at the seaside in Poland and we'll be playing VFR Tour in this weather. And if you wonder why I played bad guy, well, this weather is no good. So let's see how we can handle that. I'll put down the bass and we'll get right down to it. Okay, so here we go. Let me do some introduction and maybe explain what we are doing today. As you can see, we have the overlay on top now. This is from Volanta, which got released just today, which is great. I like it. I was looking forward to it. I customized it with my own colors, and I think it looks pretty great. So just one moment, I will open our commander tours and show us the plan and what we're doing all along. All right, almost there. Great. Let's go. Just 1 second. Perfect. So this loaded up. This is the commander website. And we have few tours here. What we'll be doing today, we'll be starting the following tour, which I created. And let me show you what this is all about. So we have 18 legs going all around Poland. And we have a map here, which doesn't show all the airports. So we are starting here at the seaside, and we'll be going west to Kołobrzeg, which is not marked, and then all the way south to the mountains and back. So I think we might do 1 or 2 legs today, depending on the weather and how fast we fly, because I haven't checked it yet. So we'll see how that works. I have the flight loaded up in Volanta, so that's what we are seeing on the top overlay. That's where data is coming from, and we'll see how this works in flight. It's the first time we're using it because obviously it got released just today. And I have also loaded up the flight in Navigraph. So now what we'll be doing today, I will not be looking at Volanta or any GPS, we'll be just using a good old VFR charts. So I want to make sure that our aircraft is not showing here, and we have VFR chart selected here, and we'll be simply looking at this. So I marked more or less the points because I want to fly along the seashore. And what we'll be doing is that we'll be starting here in Estonia. There's a little short strip here, so our Wilga should be perfect for it today. And then what we'll do, we'll fly here to the end of the peninsula, and then we'll follow on the seaside along the shore all the way to Kołobrzeg. Now, there's a part here where there is an airspace that you cannot actually enter normally in real life because there is national park, but I really want to see it in the sim. Hey, Jesus, driving and listening. Oh, that's crazy. Just be careful. Okay. So let me get back to it. I'll find some background music for you. Obviously, one thing when you're playing live intro is that when you realize you forget something, you cannot really fix it while the stream is loading. So give me just a second, I will load some background music and we'll get started right up. It's a podcast. Yeah, but people like music whenever I derp or stop talking. I want to have some background music so no one falls to sleep. And in this kind of flight, I can sometimes think too much and I won't be saying anything. So then the podcast is stopped for you. So we really need some background music. I will let you hear the whooshes here. And you can look at the weather. I think we see some snow showers incoming, so I wonder what will happen. I'm using the live weather today, but I did change the time. So I don't want to fly at night, I want to fly in the morning. So it's almost 11 a.m. local time here, but we are using the live weather. and as you can see it's pretty dark because all those clouds are covering the sun. Listen to that engine. You should have heard that engine in real life. It's super loud. I'm not even lying. As you know, this version doesn't have the mufflers on the engine, so you hear just the exhaust straight from the cylinders, no mufflers, no nothing. The American version has the mufflers, supposedly, but this one is crazy loud. The Antonov 2 is even louder because it has similar engine but bigger, and F-18s are louder but not by much. So this aircraft, when it's flying over, you can definitely hear it shaking the house and everything. Cool, so let me find that parking music I've been talking about and we'll be ready to go. Yes, how's your day? I hope it is great. Just be careful when you're driving back. Okay, I think we'll use the similar music that we used last time. Jeez, Japanese lo-fi radio. I'll place the link for you if you want to save it for later. So here you go, that's what we'll be listening to. Let me know if the audio levels are off, if anything's too loud or too quiet. I know we want this engine sounds maxed out pretty much, so I will do that later on. Don't you worry about it. Okay, we should be good to go. Let's hop in. I did plug the joystick today, so I'll be using the similar controls that we have in the aircraft. And I also have the throttle on the left side, so that will be interesting. The aircraft spawned in flying state because there is no parking area here, so I needed to taxi to the side and shut it down, so that's why you saw the battery being on. Okay, now I need to strap in, get in the seat. As you know, I have wheels in my chair that I can lock, so I need to take my position to make sure I can operate the rudder. Give me a second and I will be right back. Okay, here I am. Also, I haven't seen the kitty in quite a while, so I think she's sleeping somewhere, but just know that we might have a kitty situation later on here when she jumps out and decides it's time to play. So then I'll have to humor her a bit. Okay, I did fly this aircraft a bit before, but I'm not sure if I can remember everything, so it is definitely going to be fun. And it's super dark inside. I will just be looking around with the mouse today, so we'll use the tractor arm next time. And we have loaded in the Polish version of the aircraft, so you can see all the markings are in Polish, but it shouldn't trouble you all too much. Everything looks familiar, except for the scales, which are in kilometers and metric. So what we want to be doing today, we will fly it pretty low, so 300 meters is 1000 feet, that's the easy way to remember. Minimum altitude for VFR flight is 500 feet, sorry, so 150 meters. And we'll see how high we can fly today. So I aim to fly between 150 meters and 450, so between 500 and 1500 feet. That's planned for today. It should give us nice views. And we'll see if that's low enough to not get in the clouds. Worst case scenario, we can land on the beach and there should be no people there because it's a sim. Let's see how this works. Okay, let's get the aircraft started. I do have the parking brakes set, so you can see that it's set. I obviously will be stepping on the toes whenever we are starting up. And one thing that you may not know, in this aircraft there's a stick and we have mechanical linkage to the control surfaces, so whenever the aircraft is unoccupied and it's on the ground, you will see it like that, so the elevator is pointing down because it's fairly heavy and the stick is pointing forward simply because of the weight on the elevator. Now in the sim, because we have spring on the joystick, well, it's in the middle, but realistically you will see the aircraft having elevator in this position. And whenever you're starting up the engine or taxiing or doing anything, you want to have the elevator full back so that it's putting the force on the tail down and you don't flip on your wheels. That's the idea. I haven't flown this aircraft in real life, so trying to make the best of it. And let's see if you can start it up. It's pretty dark, so I hope it will be able to work that. We'll start the battery and let's get the lights. So we should have the light here on the instrument panel. We'll have our nav lights. Let's have a look if that works. Yeah, they're up. So 1, 2, and 3. Here we go. Let's jump back in. We have the blinker, which is a nice name for the beacon. It is pretty fun. Okay, we don't send any instruments at the moment. We'll fire up the fuel pump. Stall warning. Okay, the spark shower, which is another funny name in the aircraft. Pressure for the oil and fuel. Temperature for oil and air. And the last... oh, we have this beautiful light here. I love it. Let's keep it on. One more thing that we need. This aircraft has a funny starter system because it's using air, not electric starter. So there's actually compressed air that we need to unscrew. So it's in the system and we'll be starting the engine with that. After we start the engine, I need to screw this back in. We have these things to cool our engine and oil. There's 2 of them. I have linked them to the one axis, which you can link them in the sim to the spoiler axis. So I will be trying to operate this with the axis today. And let's have a look at this out from the outside. So the engine one is here, so you can see these things opening and closing up, and the oil cooler is here in the bottom, and you actually can see the things inside opening, closing. So that's pretty cool. We'll move our prop to the low pitch. So prop is forward. Let's jump back into the cockpit. I'll reset the view for later. And barriers for the sounds, they will be coming any minute now. No, actually we need some more time. I'll hit the B to set the altimeter to our QNH. So we are around at the sea level, so the 0 is perfectly good number. Okay. Now I have the mixture set in the wrong direction, but it's fine. So we just put it in. We have our fuel tanks to both, which is great. We need our magnetos to both, which is 1 and 2. Let's think, did I miss anything? So I'm obviously trying to do this from the top of my head. I did it 1 or 2 times with the checklist, but it's more fun to do the Sudoku exercise here and see if I can remember anything and actually do it. And if something doesn't work, I will be trying to figure out what is wrong. Let's also have a look at the heading indicator, if this matches our compass. So this is 180, 190. Yeah, this is about right. Okay, so if we remove the parallax effect, so we move to the middle, that is 195. So that's what you should be seeing, 195. Another thing you might not have noticed, the default view in the aircraft when you buy it is super high, and I asked the developer on another stream and they said the pilot they based this on was really tall. So the pilot in the default view can see something like that, but obviously I'm not extra super tall, so whenever I sit in the aircraft in the real life, what I can see is this in the best case scenario. Probably it's even worse. So you can imagine taxiing in this aircraft is not fun unless you're super tall, but I'm not, so I have to deal with what I have. I registered the engine. Have you missed anything? I'm a little bit scared. One thing I want to show you also is that I have linked my trim to the axis. So I have the Warthog throttle today, and I have linked this to the axis, so this will be super responsive. And if you are new to the sim and if you're having trouble with trimming, I would certainly recommend to try to link it to the axis so it's 100% responsive. Just make sure that the axis is not stable, it's not jumping around, because some potentiometers, they have the issue that the axis will be doing this, so that's probably not what you want. You want it to be stable, and it should really make your life easier for the trimming. Now, whenever you have bound it to the button, I'll show you what happens. So when you click it, it goes like a minuscule movement, like it does almost nothing. Then it waits for a couple hundred milliseconds and then it starts moving like crazy. So that's why it's so hard to get the trim right in the aircraft, because it's using this key auto repeat functionality. It really doesn't work great. So I'll click my fingers when I'll press and hold the trimming button, and you see how much there is a delay before it starts moving. So 1, 2, 3, go. And now it starts moving. So because of this delay, it's super hard to get it right, because you have to wait before it starts moving, then it moves a lot, and then you realize it stops moving, you want to correct a bit, but you have to wait again. So it's a bit crazy. One thing I could recommend you to do if you really have to use the button is to first pitch for the airspeed that you want, and then hit the trim. Once you feel it moving, just release the stick or yoke until the aircraft flies the way you want, and then leave the trim. So that should be something doable. I might try to show you this when we are flying, but it's one of the tips for the trimming, and I've heard people have problems with this, so it's a good idea to have it working right for everyone. Okay, let's start the engine. So I need 3 hands, I have only 2, so that will be interesting. So I need my right hand to click the mouse button, but I also need my right hand to pull the stick back. So what I'll do, I use the left hand for the stick, so you'll see it here just crossed in front of me. I will step on my toes, so you can see that even though the parking brakes are set, I'm now stepping on the toes, and let's hit the starter button and see if it works. No, we need the priming. So it's pretty cold today. You can actually have a look at the meter, so let's do that. And we'll see how cold it is. We'll need quite a lot of priming. So we should have the meter here. There's recent freezing rain, so obviously not weather for this aircraft. Now we're gonna go a bit crazy and fly it here because we're in the sim, but in this weather I would probably hit the bar and just stay there. So let's have a look. It's -3, so it's super cold. And we'll need the cabin heating. Obviously that's something that's not simulated here. I cannot actually feel it, but we'll put the cabin heating to pull up and also carb heating pull up. I will put the throttle a bit in. We do it in our aircraft, so I hope that's also the case here. Okay, so I'm pulling the steel stick all the way back. This is so that we have our elevator up, so whenever we start the engine, the force here will be pushing our tail down. This is what we desire at this point. Okay, in attacking. Let's start it. So 1, 2, 3, 4 primes. I do not have the hints, so I don't know if it's under or over primed. Let's raise this glass here and try to start it. Okay, I think it's running. So that went pretty smooth. Let's have a look outside. Prep is spinning. Alright, that was easier than anticipated. Let's recharge the battery. So we have our generator on. Let's see what else we need. Pitot heating. Let's fire up all the instruments that we have. And we do not need the wiper. Actually, I shouldn't have turned it on because the image screen is dry. But okay, let's do it. Let's check with safe to turn on the ultraviolet instruments, but I missed applying them today, so I don't think we need them today. Cool, so all is up except for the wiper. Let's screw back this air for the starter. And that is done. Now let me think. We need to wait for our temperatures. So let's have a look here. Here's our old temperatures. They are almost in the green, so I'll close the shutters. I think that's the right name for it. Reduce the RPM, so let's have a look at the RPM. I'll keep it in the yellow one. And that's the pressure, that's the temperature, that's the temperature, that's the temperature. Everything is green, unbelievable. I think in real life we'll need way longer to get it running. I wanted to fly Watson today, so I can try to do that. If you want to join up later, then you obviously can. So why is it working? I do not need the ADF, so I'll just shut it down. And okay, I need to clear it. 228. That's 0. That's the income. And we are doing the flight for the commander for the trips. I also need to start that thing up. So let's have a look there. Launch my applications. Here we go. Will not look at the weather. It's terrible, so just be looking inside. I have a road trip here, so this loaded from the dispatch. Origin is Estarnia, Echo Papa Juliet Alpha. We're going to co-object, Echo Papa Kilo Golf. I do not get into alternate. My call sign, command 107. Altitude output 1500. Passengers is 1, which is you, my viewer. We have 0, route is direct, and the remarks. So we'll do it online in Batsim. And I will put in the name operator. I think I have enough in the engine, so make it a bit quieter for you. Let's have a look how loud it will be when it's all the way up. So let's try this out. Then pull back on the stick. I'm stepping on the toes. Okay, I think the audio levels are okay for you. So our headphones are doing the job here. Make the music a bit louder. And we should be good to go. I have around 1 billion balloon sliders here. Actually more like 510, so bear with me. Take me just a moment to get everything the way I want it to be. Okay, I think my audio levels are comfortable now, and they should be comfortable for you. And we do want to launch Batsim. And I do not know the ICAO code for this aircraft, so we will find it. Bear with me, almost there. Okay, let's go to the applications and we'll set up everything we need for the flight. So ICAO has these codes and there's a lot of them. You can actually find all of them on the ICAO website. So you Google for ICAO aircraft codes and you'll go to this website. It loads up everything and here you can find it, which is pretty nice. So that should help us to actually get our code for the V-pilot. So this is Papa Zulu 04, PZ04. Which makes sense, we're actually flying Wilga 35A today, so that's the one. Let me copy this and we'll go to the V-pilot, which I have launched already. So let's connect now. Papa Zulu 04, that's the Wilga. That's great. And as you can see, well, we need to choose another server. So give me a moment, I will choose another server. Okay, this app. I will also put the music so that it's on the VOD. It should be from now on, so you'll have more fun when watching the VOD. Alright, let's have a look at the V-pilot. We have quite a few centers, but we're flying VFR today, so it's fun. So that's our V-pilot. You may or may not be able to hear it at some point. We'll see, let me know if you can hear it. And we do not... okay, we can't trigger the mode Charlie from here, so that's what we'll do. We do not have transponder in our aircraft because I choose the legacy settings, so it's not there. And one last thing that we need for our flight plan, maybe we do not need to file the flight plan, but let's do it. Papa Juliet Alpha to Papa Kilo Golf. We'll just go to direct equipment suffix. I need to check this out, but it's definitely better than Alpha, so we'll see about that. The time right now, I'll always check on my watch. So the UTC time right now is 18:34, so let's make that 18:45. Doesn't matter too much. Flight time should be more or less 2 hours. Still available, I think we have 2.5. We will be cruising at around 90 knots, so if you want to catch up with me, you just pick an aircraft that cruises at around 90 knots and you should be able to do so, or faster, then you'll have an easy time catching up with me. Commander 117 is my call sign. Let's make it capital A so that it's a bit easier to read. And I need to find this equipment code. I have a website that lists all of them to find the most suitable one. So give me a second, I will find it. There you go, I found that the Romanian vaccine has a nice list here, and I'll just use it. So our Translant Alpha, DME, well, we don't even have DME, so transponder with more Charlie, so that's slash uniform. And yeah, that's all we have today, so it will be fun. We have NDB or ADF, which is not listed here, so we'll use slash uniform. Okay, let's file this. I'm not expecting to hear anyone, but hey, if we load up, it will be cool. in the flight sim, I think I'm on the East US server. That's where I have been flying the last time, and that's probably where I left it. So if you want to join up, it's here. And the preparations are taking forever, but that's how it is normally. So I'm not really bothered about that. Okay, let's do the radio check. I actually need to bind my button for talking because I changed my equipment, so let's do that. This behaves a bit funny, so I usually need a few times to set it up. Okay, button 2, hot us. That's probably the one. Okay, let's try it. We didn't have Con2, so we cannot listen to ourselves. But we should be able to set it from maybe from the radio menus, but I don't want to try and do that. Starting traffic, command 107, radio check. Okay, at least I know the button is working, so we should be fine. We have mode Charlie, which is good. That's all I need at the moment. There is Polish center, but we won't be talking to them, we'll stay on the Unicom. Great, that's done. As promised, I have the Volanta back here, but I will not be looking at it, but you can see my progress of the flights here on the top overlay, so that should be cool. I will cover my Volanta with the Navigraph, and that's all I'll be looking at. I have turned off view of the plane, and I'll be trying to switch it on and off for you every now and then so that you can see what's going on. Obviously I can see the chart all the time, but it's way to my left. I've flown this route before, so I pretty much know where you are, so this will be the easy one. The next flights should be more difficult. We are starting here. Here's our airstrip, which is very short, so I'm glad we have this aircraft today. And as I told you before, we'll go here to the end of the peninsula, we'll fly around it and continue on the seaside all the way up to the co-object. I actually have scenery installed for the co-object from Flight Sim TO, so we'll see how that looks. Hey, this is Viper, very nice to see you here. Actually, that reminds me, because we have so many viewers now, I'll replay the follows I had when I was offline, so that's that. Our Siter, thank you very much for the follow, very nice to see you on the stream. And we had one more. Mega Detect, thank you for the follow, very nice to see you here. Okay, now I didn't check the winds. Actually, I can see the winds outside, so we have crosswind from the southern sector, and because we stand at the runway 30, we'll just take off from the runway 30. So runway 30 is the one I'll be using for takeoff. I'll just zoom it like that. I'll leave it here. If you want to have a look at the Navigraph, let me know, I will pop it in for you. The last but not least, or maybe the most important thing, we need to start our flight. So I loaded this from the dispatch. This is required to register the tour on the commander. So the tour we are flying today is this Tour de Pologne. We're doing the first leg from here to here, which is not marked, but it's there. That's the first of 18 legs. So we're doing the first leg today. We'll take around an hour and a half, I think. We see. I haven't calculated anything, we can just go out here. And let's start this flight. Before we do that, I'll double check the amount of fuel we have in the aircraft. We obviously don't want to run out of fuel. So we have 100 liters, that's not a lot. So I will bound this up. Let's go full tanks, we'll see how much we use up. And we have these fancy fuel gauges here on the sides that I cannot see. I wonder where they are. Where they are. There, no. Oh, here it is. So we have this floating thingy that is showing you that we have 60 liters here. We probably have, it might depend on the position of the aircraft, so we'll look at it in the flight. And we also have the other one. somewhere around here. So these are funny gauges, but they're pretty good, so not bad to have. The only problem is that you have to wiggle your head all the way to the sides to check the fuel. And we're having some sunshine on blue. Reminder, we're flying with the live weather, but not the lifetime. It's currently 11 in the morning, but in real life it's almost 8 p.m. I'll switch on our landing lights and I'll start the flight. The most important thing for us today, and let's see if it works. So I've loaded everything, let's start it, and for the GA we must reach at least 500 feet AGL above ground level to register it. When I fly over Gdańsk, we'll play Mother by Danzig on my guitar. I don't know the song, unfortunately, and I'm not great on the guitar. So the thing about the guitar, when I was young, I was trying to learn the guitar, and I was trying to learn all sorts of songs, but didn't pay any attention to the theory. And years later, when I started on the bass, I actually got some course, online course. It's called Bass Lessons, which is great, and actually started learning some theory, not the songs. So now I can just jam something and play something that makes some sort of sense, but I cannot necessarily play any song that you know and love, except for today when you started. That's what I could do. Okay, let's check some of the applications. We have the VATSPy here, and we should be seeing ourselves here. So I'll make this refresh, and we do see ourselves here. I am Commander 107, so that is great. And as promised, I will cover this with the chart and I will not touch it anymore. Okay, I think we're finally good to go. You may think that these preparations take forever, but to be honest, whenever I fly for real, it takes even longer, but I spend most of this time at home or maybe at our briefing area. But whenever I heard me playing for a while, I really spent quite a few hours to get everything up and running. But obviously you do not see the time, so we probably put 5 times more time than you actually fly, at least. Okay, so are you ready? Think around. Reminder that I've lowered the position, default position, so that it's more resembles where my head would be in the rear of the aircraft. You can do this with Control 10 or Shift of 10, I don't remember. One is to set, the other one is to reset. So now our low temperature is that. I wonder why that is. Oh no. That's not great. So you need to crank it up a bit. Okay, so I'll close the shutters. I have them bound to the axis. I will move our trim to neutral, as we played it with it before. Let's see if this oil temperature will warm up. I will not do the run-up check. It's quite a complicated procedure. I actually have quite an old book that lists everything, all the steps, so we might try it at some point, but I don't want to do it today. Yeah, the temperature is back, so that's fine. Let's just see if our probe works. So I read somewhere that in this aircraft you want to cycle the probe a few times to make sure the oil gets refreshed there. So I'll cycle it once, twice, and thrice. That's the actual word. So we should be good. Props forward. Okay. I will leave the shutters closed for the time of the taxi. I'm releasing the parking brake, which is actually not here. So if you know these mods, they are putting the chokes here. Yeah, You can actually see these red things popping in and out. So there's no parking brake in this aircraft. So, can you see them? You can see them hopping under the wheels. So normally you will need someone to put them in and out. Cool. So let's report on Batson and we'll be good to go. Yes, running traffic, Commander 117, line cap runway 30, yes, running traffic. Okay. So let's taxi. I am pulling the steel stick all the way back so that we are pushing the tail down and we do not flip the aircraft. Are there cowl flaps covering the cylinder? So it's not the cowl flaps, it's called the shutters here. I will show you in a second. Actually, look, whenever I move my throttle into idle, there is not enough electricity and our light is turning dim. So I like it, that's a nice touch. Let's try to line up here. Obviously I cannot see anything. So I will use our heading indicator here. Okay, stopped. Put this in so that we hit the oil and get the electricity. And let's look at those shutters. So I have them bound to the axis, and it's not a cowl flap like in the Western designs, it's those shutters here. So there's one shutter here for the cylinders and another one here inside for the oil cooler. And this oil cooler, when the aircraft is in the hangar, is actually dripping oil, and this is completely normal phenomenon. So you'll always see in the hangar a huge tray under the oil cooler that is collecting the oil. Whenever I move the shutters, you can see them open and close. So you can see the ones here on the cylinders and also the ones here inside, which are in the dark area, so you cannot see them very well. See, they just moved. So we'll leave them open for takeoff. Actually, let's keep them halfway closed. But this is pretty cool. And actually, because this is the design I knew from the start, it's not... I was surprised how the cowl flaps work in the Western designs. They were blocked, you didn't know what the correct term was. Yeah, I think it's the shutters. Well, obviously in the Polish it's different, but they are marked as shutters in the American version. And I have bound this to the axis. It's using the spoiler axis, so you can't control them separately, but because they're on the one axis, I control both of them one axis on my equipment. And I also for today have bound trim to the axis, so I will have perfect responsiveness here on the trim. Function seams close to cowl flaps. Yes, it's very close to cowl flaps. It does the same thing, it's just on the other end. So we are limiting the fuel on the incoming end, not on the outgoing end, like you have with the cowl flaps. Yeah, it works the same way. And the batteries, whenever you have the idle and you see the alternator or generator warning light, that happens in a lot of GA aircraft. And I actually was aware of it for a long time, and I was wondering why our amps are jumping when we're on idle. Okay, so looks like we're on heading. We'll try to take off somewhere here in this gap. I will put one notch of flaps for takeoff. Now, again about the trim, so I have this bump for the axis. If you have problems with trimming, I can recommend that, because normally the trim is this auto-repeat behavior. So I'll click my fingers when I start holding the trim button, and you'll see how long it takes for it to start moving. So I'll zoom in a bit. So 3, 2, 1, go. And now it moves. So that's why it's so hard to trim with the default settings. And just remember that when you have the axis and you have the electric trim, whenever you touch the axis again, it will reset to where the axis was. So now I'm using the electric trim, which is not on this aircraft, and then whenever you touch the axis, it will jump. So whenever you have the axis, just only use the axis, do not use the buttons. It will mess up what you see here. Okay. I might or might not have bored you to death, so let's get running. I'll slowly add full power, so I'm looking on the left side to try to control my direction. Whoa. So that didn't work well as expected. I'm not sure why we got such a sudden jump. Okay, so full power, let's climb. Let's get out of this area. Okay, I think I know what happened. Oh dear. Okay, now let's reduce the power. So I'm pulling the throttle and the prop at the same time. So I see there in the green area. Let's keep the prop at 20 and manifold pressure at 6.5. I think that will be a good setting. Okay, let's get some speed. Laps up. Okay, you can see the peninsula here. Okay. Maybe I didn't think this through. Estonia Traffic Commander 107, after departure from Estonia, will fly westbound to the peninsula, Commander 107. Okay. I totally forgot about the radio calls, so that was totally botched. That's gonna be hard to grapple with when you first encounter. You mean the call flaps or the trimming? DC, I'm not sure what you meant that there. Okay, so the sudden jump we saw on takeoff, I think it was because of the wind. So I think the wind is coming from the south. So as soon as I lifted the tail, it violently turned our nose into the wind. So I think that's what happened there. Okay, I'll reduce the manifold pressure a bit to 6. I don't want to fly too fast today. So we are doing 180 kilometers per hour. The trimming. Yeah, the trimming is totally botched. I think it's a historical thing, so the Sims used keyboard when they first started, like Flight Sim 90 and whatever. And I think they keep this legacy behavior even now, even though it could totally work like in a normal aircraft. So it's totally botched and I hate it, and it took me, as you can see, years to find out what's actually the problem, why it's not behaving like I expected to. Alright, so we're flying. I turned off our landing light. I will keep our cabin lights so we have this somewhat evenly illuminated. I'll keep this air speed and we'll stay at 200 meters. So minimal altitude for VFR is 150 meters, which is 500 feet. Let's get to 300 meters, which is 1000 feet. See how the world looks from that altitude. Okay, let's get a bit more power. Okay, 5 meters per second up, so that's quite a lot. This would translate to, I believe, 1000 feet per minute. So you basically multiply this by 2 and you should have the number in feet per minute or in knots. Oh, we're there, so let's settle the power somewhere. Cool, we can see the peninsula, it's ending somewhere over there. Gdańsk is on our right side, covered there in the snowstorm. And we'll just fly to the end there, and then we'll turn around and fly along the beach to Kołobrzeg. This should be fun. I'll try to keep some constant altitude. Let's see how I handle that. Get my position a bit more comfortable. And I'll try to trim now, so I move this axis a bit forward. You have to be super light on the touch because it's very sensitive. So when I move it to the end, I'll demonstrate it. That's what the aircraft does. So you have to be really sensitive with it because it's very sensitive. But this is how it's implemented here. Okay, this is actually a knob that turns it. But in gliders you very often have thing that we move back and forwards to trim. Alright, I'll try to keep around this 1500 feet, which is a nice altitude for the VFR. Whenever I fly here for real, I try to stay at 3000 feet or 5000 feet, so I have a long time when my engine quits to decide and actually find some good ground to land. I would rather not fly too close to the ground here or the sea. I want to have more time whenever anything happens. Cool, let's look at our temperatures. So our cylinder heads are in the yellow. So what this means, we'll need to open it a bit. I'm touching the trim here, so I'm trying to find some good spot. And again, I moved my head position from the default a bit lower, so that is more what I would see in the aircraft. And the pilot that based this on was really tall, so that's why the default position is super high. But I would say is more or less something like this. Alright, I'll not bother about the altitude today too much, so we'll bounce somewhere between 300 meters and 450 meters, maybe for 500. This should be fine. Now, every now and then we need to check our directional gyro with what the magnetic compass is showing. To do that, you need to move your head so that it's straight here to get rid of the parallax effect. And I think we're good. Yeah, so no need to correct it yet. Cool. This is the Hell Peninsula. It's single L, not double L. I'm not sure what the actual meaning is supposed to be. It's just called Hell, but nothing to do with the English Hell. But the name is pretty cool. So you can actually fly to Hell and back. That's what we'll be doing today. Pretty cool. Let's have a look at the engine instruments. I'm getting a bit anxious. So that's in the green, that's in the green, that's in the green, that's in the green, 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 green. Okay, so we're good. Except for this thing here. I'm not exactly sure what it's controlling. It's some pressure. It should be all pressure. Now we can see those shutter levers jumping around. That's because my hardware is a bit twitchy, so I have the Logitech throttle, the old one, and it seems a bit twitchy, but it's okay for me at this point. So whenever I try to move them, they will reset as soon as the axis gets twitchy. And if you do not know, this aircraft has a stick, so you fly it with the right hand and the left hand is on the throttles. But because of that, you need two throttles for each pilot, because each pilot has the right hand on the stick. So there's two sets of throttles for the left hands. But I think you are not supposed to use the right throttle with the right hand, mostly because there is a radio button here. And I actually linked my hardware, so I have a button for the radio in a similar spot. Okay. So this is the city of Hell. I've been in on my summer holidays a few times. It's a small town that used to be a fishing town in the past, and there's also a seaport, navy base and whatnot, and there's quite a lot of military installations around there, and you can also see some old military installations like bunkers, cannons and whatnot. Quick reminder, we do have blurb and some colors on the stream, so they are added as extension, and whenever you hover over the stream you should see the icon on the right hand side and you should be able to trigger them. I'll just trigger the sound one, test one for you.
Which is the coldest spell in the universe. Oh!
Yay. I think it works. So that is the blur, and we also have the test alert, sound alerts. Awesome. Back in the aircraft, I like the look of the sky. It's grim dark, but has this bit of sunshine there. Okay, we reached the end of the peninsula, and we can turn around.
Stop! Stop! I don't
Stop.
like this thing!
I cannot stop, man. We're literally in the middle of air. And one thing you know about aircraft is that they have this huge velocity vector attached to you that you can do absolutely nothing about without dying. So whenever you have started flying in the young age, you are getting used to this velocity vector and really thinking ahead. So I sometimes find myself doing weird things in real life because I think I cannot stop. So it's pretty fun whenever you're working somewhere and instead of stopping you just start doing a holding pattern on the sidewalk. Alright, let's continue on the beach. So the way it works, there is a city there. Actually the town, a lot of forest, you can just walk there, and there's a beach. It's pretty wild. There's also the lighthouse somewhere over here, but I think we don't have it modeled. And we'll just follow along. So normally the waves on the north side can be huge. The waves on the south side are pretty small because this is a bay, so it's being covered. And it's a very nice place for windsurfing or kite surfing. I've actually been here. And it's pretty nice because it's pretty shallow water over there. So it's a nice place to learn. There's not too much waves on the south side, although the swell can exist. So one time I had trouble to get my sail up, get to pick and lunch. Yeah, bon appetit. What are you having for lunch, Sissy? Actually, it's way past dinner time here, so I actually had some small dinner. And I even had lunch today, so pretty good. Yay! We can see some sunshine there. And what we see in front of us is the city of Estonia. That's another resort. And some sunshine there, followed by the snow showers. So that will be fun. I actually have the icing effects turned off in the sim, because last time I flew Airbus A320, it turned out that the icing effects are way over the top, and I just couldn't fly. The Airbus wouldn't climb, even though I had the anti-ice from the start. So I turned them off. I hope Asobo will make it work at some point. Also, we have the ball here, which we are supposed to keep in the middle. And if I do not have my feet on the rudder, the ball is on the left side. So I need to put a little bit of the left rudder input, which is totally the opposite input that you need in the Western planes. So the propeller here is spinning in the other direction than the Western planes. Supposedly this is to make the Western pilot difficult for the Western pilots to fly the Eastern planes. Alright, let's have a look at the Navigraph. I'll show you where we are. I need to trim off a bit, so just a touch there on the trim, and we're good. Okay, so we started here in the city of Estonia. We went all the way to the west, turned around, hell, and we're flying back. So now we see the city of Estonia in front of us. So that's my last somewhat confirmed position. I'll put the mark here, I'll keep it here. In real life, I'm putting my thumb on the chart so that I know where I found myself last time. And this is because you put the charts up and down. So whenever you put it up, you don't want to spend time looking where you were last time because you already found yourself. You just want to continue from that one. But if you do not hold the thumb at the point when that you knew you were last time, you will spend precious seconds looking for that position again. So what I like to do is put my thumb there and just hold it, put my hand down, and when I hold it up, it's there, so I know where I was. We do not have the thumb here, but I will replicate this with this big plus sign. That's pretty cool. The only downside is that we have this thing on the left which I cannot hide, but that's not a big deal. We have a lot of real estate here on the screen. Okay. 550 meters, which is about right, and I'm curious what will happen when we hit the rain showers. Worst case scenario, we'll try to go a bit lower, do some scud running and follow the beach. No, I'd rather not do that in the real plane, because when we're in the sim, we can go a bit crazy. Let's have a look at the directional indicator. that's showing 280, and here we are 275. Yeah, 275. So I think it's time to... Oh, it's actually slaved. That's too bad. Also put my heading so that we can relate to this later. This is somewhat resembling the heading back, but it's actually meant for the ADF. So we have the 88 needle here, which is in the off position now. But if you know the ADF, what will happen is the needle will show to the station, but whenever you're turning, this position of the station turns around you, unlike in the VOR, which will show the same position all the time. So to make this nice for you, you have this huge heading back here. You just put it to the radial you want to be on, and then you try to to keep your needle inside. And that's how you can navigate to or from the station. So it's a Rumen's VOR. Let's listen to the chill music before we dive into this snowstorm. I hope it will work fine for us. So I'm descending a bit now. Look at our temperatures. We are not descending very hard, so I do not need to close the shutters. So what I did is I picked on the engine rallies on the EFB here, which is actually the analog flight board. And what they say is that whenever you descend rapidly with the engine shutters open, it will damage the engine cylinders and the engine will fail at some point. So I'm curious to see if we'll actually see this happening. So I need to pay at least some attention to our temperatures. Okay, I'll open them a little bit so we can try to get those temperatures in the green. Okay. We have another small town, so let's try to locate it on the chart. I'm not sure if that will be doable. Okay, so this needs a town. I have marked it now, so that's my virtual farm. And let's continue. Okay. We are at 300 meters, I can see the ground way ahead of us, so this is pretty okay. As soon as I lose the visibility, well, before I do that, I will dive in it so that you can actually see where we are going. So we are doing 190 kilometers per hour indicated. That should be somewhere around 100 knots. 100 knots is 180. So we're doing about 180 knots. About 100 knots. Which is just alright airspeed for this kind of GA aircraft. Now, we could do some engine leaning, but because we're so low, I do not think there's any need for that. I'll lean it just a tiny bit. So increase our mixture handle. I linked it with my hardware axis. And you can see that it's pretty turbulent today. It should be okay for us. We're still above 500 feet, which is 150 meters. So we are totally legal altitude for VFR. As you can see, this peninsula is pretty thin, so in the thinnest point there is like a beach, a tiny bit of forest, road, railway track, and a beach on the other side. So you can actually see on the both sides when you're driving your car. Let's have a look outside. So cover your ears, it will be loud. Okay, actually it's not that bad. I did pick a white livery today, so that we camouflage better in the snow. I thought it would be fun. So hey, here we are with a ton of navigation lights and the beacon, which may make them visible for anyone around, but I wouldn't count on it too much. And we're heading in a huge snow or rain shower, so on the road visibility will be there. Okay, let's jump back inside, have a look at our altitude, 200 meters, it's pretty okay. And the only thing I don't like about the weather today, surprisingly, is the turbulence. I don't want the airplane to jump around like that all the time. Let's go up and okay. So we're arriving at the end of Peninsula, and you can see the city there. So let's have a look at the chart. City and a seaport. You can see by those piers standing into the sea, and I'll show that on the charts. So, well, actually, I can switch it so that we have our track up. So that's what we are seeing, the Władysławowo city, which is also Point Whiskey for the Gdańsk airport. So I have marked it, and let's zoom out a bit. Now what we're heading to, there is a cape, so the northernmost point in Poland. Here there is also a lighthouse there, and another small city which I have been to for holidays a few times. Okay, so I know we're here. The next, when the shore is turning left, I'll know we are somewhere over here. Let's jump back into the plane and have a look outside. Maybe I can zoom out a bit, so it's a bit nicer view. I will turn off the lights, and you can see the beach on the left side, and there's a cliff that's beginning to rise here. So, beginning there is no cliff, and then it's getting higher and higher, with the highest point somewhere around this northernmost point of Poland, which we can actually see looming there in the fog. So I'm trying to keep the beach visible here on the left side of the screen through the window. And that's my reference point. You can actually see this cape there, just in front of us, here between the strats. So that's the next point I will mark on my chart with my virtual thumb. And we're at 200 meters. The trimming is pretty okay, I'm just touching the stick every now and then. You can see that the cliffs are getting taller and taller there. I think there is some spot where people fly in paragliders, and they can actually fly on the breeze. So whenever there's a sea breeze in the day, the air will be flowing from the sea to the shore and rising up. So you can fly along it all day, I believe, and you can actually feel it when you're flying in the aircraft. But the part of the air that's rising up, it's not at the seashore, it's a bit inward, like in 500 meters inward into the land. So when you are there, you can actually reduce the power on aircraft, and you're in the fuel saving mode. Okay, we just turned a bit, so let's mark our position. So we're somewhere around here, and we'll be sitting another holiday town on the left, which has some cool cliffs. As I mentioned, I've been here, so there it is. I wonder if you open these vents today, here on the cabin, how much water would you get inside? Now, the turret that we cannot see too much forward, I'm all the time looking here on the left, so that's my reference point for the ground around to see. So the cliff is lowered, there's no cliff here anymore. And just the beach. And some houses on the other side. Okay, it's not so bad in this precipitation. I know there is nothing strange ahead of us, so I'm just fine whenever I see the beach on the left side here in the window. And I do not necessarily need to see anything in front of us. So we had some small river exiting to the sea on our left just now. And let's continue. If the weather will get super bad and we cannot see anything, I will get rid of the live weather and we'll just put some nice weather so that you can see the views. So far it's pretty fun. Now it will be difficult for me to spot the next town or anything, so I'll look for something that can help tell us where we are. Okay, let's move my thumb on the chart a bit. So the last time we were here, I think we passed a bit here and we should be somewhere around this small town in a moment. So I'll just mark it, and whenever I see it or see something else, we'll move along. Okay, let's hide this, and I need to get some visuals. Let's descend a bit and try to follow the beach. Hopefully we'll get out of this rain showers at some point. We'll see how this works. I'll start my timer just in case we need to guesstimate our position later on. So the clock is ticking. Yay, return to tacos. What kind of tacos did you get? Actually, can you get all sorts of tacos everywhere in the US? You can get some sort of tacos here, but, well, tacos al pastor doesn't tell me a thing. Well, I hope they're good, but taco sounds very nice indeed. And you can watch the bar on top from Volanta. The Volanta has released an update today, which I have been looking forward to quite a lot, and it not have this home bar for Twitch, for the overlay on Twitch, which I'm using. So the data you see is coming from Volanta, and I can see there's our true progress. Just looking pretty good. Tacos al pastor are pork that's roasted on a spit like doner kebab. Nice. I'm getting hungry. And also the kitty is up. You might have seen her. So at some point, if she starts screaming, I will need to play with her. But we do not have autopilot, so this will be fun. There's a small little house on the beach there. That's so funny. And we see the town. So I think that's the Carve town that I mentioned before. So I'll mark it and we'll see how that works for us. And we have been flying for almost 2 minutes since I started the clock, so let's mark that. So, okay, I think that was the town that we just saw. We'll do some calculations from now on. So next there should be nothing, a small city, a small town of Dempke, and we should some sort of huge river exiting to the sea. And there is a lake there. This lake, actually, there was supposed to be atomic power plant builder in the 80s, I believe, when we were still behind Iron Curtain, but unfortunately everything got cancelled and we don't have the atomic power plant, nuclear power plant. But what is there is this sort of battery. So you know it's when you have a lake on the top of the mountain and they pump the water up during the night to store the energy, and then they release it, go through a turbine to produce electricity during the day. So that's actually over here, which is pretty cool. I've seen it from there. Okay, let's get back to the plane. We see a big nothing on the left. The air has cleared up a bit. We see this wide beach over there, which is where I liked to go on my summer holidays as well. Up front, in some time you will see the dunes, which is actually the restricted area, so you cannot fly over it in real life unless you are over 3,000 feet, I believe. But we'll ignore that in the sim and just fly over. It'll show the dunes. That's still some time ahead. So let's look for this river exit. Or some other towns. Okay, we're at 4 minutes, so let's think now. My navigation is in miles. We're doing 180 knots. I'm not sure about the wind, so I cannot judge that. It seems to be coming from left front, so it might be slowing us down a bit. So if we're doing 100 knots, how many are we doing in a minute? So we should divide this by 60, so that's a bit less than 2 miles and more than 1 mile. So that's 1 2/3 of a mile. That's how much we fly in a minute. Now in the Navi graph, what we have is I have this 1 mile marker. So this is pretty okay. I zoomed it a lot, so I noticed that when you zoom out so that you see the 5 miles here, like that. This is the scale that I have on the actual VFR charts that I use in flight. So it's 1 to 500,000. And the way I know it is that 1 inch is more or less 5 miles on the chart, and 1 inch you can measure with the inch on the thumb. So it's a good idea to measure how many nautical miles this is, so you can quickly measure the distance on the charts when you're in flight. It's not super accurate, but might save you some time if you really need to guesstimate your distance from something very quickly. Okay, so I think we should be somewhere around here now. I'll zoom this a bit. Okay. Let's say we are here. Let's get back to the plane. This is getting fun. So nothing fancy to see here, just the beach and some dunes. Normally I do this route a few times in the sim, but there's just the landscape extending to the land. So nothing super interesting. I'm still trying to locate this river exit, but I'm not sure if we'll be able to see it here or not. So sometimes so tiny streams or creek in the sim look like a huge rivers, which is very funny when there are actual creeks in the mountains and you have this huge river flowing down the mountain. That looks quite bizarre, but then you have a bigger rivers that you do not see quite well. And to be fair, they seem pretty similar on the chart, so I can understand that Asobo treats them in the same way, more or less. Let's have a look at the field. So, move here, and we are showing 6 liters here, and on the other side it should be the same. Yeah, somewhere around 60. That is cool. Our flaps are up. Okay. And every now and then you can see those exits, so that you can actually walk on foot when you're going to the beach. So there are those exits here. Actually, I see that my camera is covering a bit the view where I look the most, but I think it should be fine. Maybe I'll make it look like this. Now I can see a bit better. Hey, so there I screwed a bit. You can actually see the terrain here, which you do not notice at all when the sun is up. Okay, we have some terrain features over in front of us. So the beach is turning to the left and making a long arc and turning back to the right. So let's try to locate that on our naviggraph. So that might be the thing here, or the thing here. Say this will be done. Okay, we are 8.5 minutes. So times 1 2/3, that should give us 8, and somewhere around 10 miles. So we are here when I started the clock, and we should be 3, 6, and yeah, so it should be actually somewhere around here right now. That's pretty cool. And we should see this obstacle. I have the VFR pack from Flight CTO, which should be showing the obstacles, and you might see them every now and then. Actually, the terrain is covered in snow, and the seaside with snow looks pretty cool. And there's not too many people, and it's not warm, so you're not dying in the heat. I've been on the seaside a few times in the winter, and it's pretty cool. Especially when we have snow on the beach. It's bizarre. Definitely not something you can see in Florida every day. Probably never. And look, you can even see the horizon. Unbelievable. So the weather is perfect VFR today. It's not perfect. It's pretty okay. The aircraft's pretty stable. I'm just touching it every now and then, so you can see it jumping around. I do not try to be super precise about where we fly. It's supposed to be chill today, so hey. I wonder if you can see the stick. So the stick is shaking. I think that's implemented just in the aircraft, or maybe it's my hardware that's shaking. I still do not see anything interesting in the land. We will be seeing a lake soon, and actually you can see it now. So you can see here behind the wiper we have a long lake parallel to the beach, and this lake is visible very well here on the naviggraph. And then there is the city of Wilga, from which we have another lake and something, and there are those fancy dunes that are extending there. So let's try to look over there, and there's actually a base where V1 or V2 were developed and tested. So there's some military installations from the World War II era that you can actually visit, and there's a national park here, so you cannot fly here very low with G aircraft. So I'll mark the end of the lake, because that's where I will know we'll be in some time. So that's the point I can somewhat see now out the window. So I'll mark it, and we'll be looking for it. Now in the nav graph you can turn this around, so it's a good idea to make it point the way you're flying, because if it happens to be in the opposite way, it's somewhat hard for your brain to comprehend what you're looking at. And we actually have NDB here, 108, so let's try to tune it in and see if that works. 108, 108. So here's the lake. At the end of the lake there's a city of Wilga, and we can try to use our ADF. So 108 works. Cool. I did hit the signal. So now this arrow is pointing to the station, and the station is here. Now we need to remember that the arrow will be turning with our aircraft, so that's what makes it difficult to use. I can quickly show you how this works in the aircraft. I actually like this feature of this big thing that you can put under the arrow that you do not see in the Western aircraft. So ADF on Western aircraft is way more difficult because you do not have that. So now when you're actually using... Oh, it doesn't work as expected. Oh no. Now it's actually not working. So you see the needle is not turning. Too bad. Forget everything I just said. Maybe we have something not working here. No, the needle is dead. Too bad. Well, what can we do? So I got fuse here because the needle, when it's off, is pointing somewhere where I expected the station to be. But I think it should be pointing to the 45 degrees when it's off, but maybe in this instrument it just points this way. Cool. So you see the lake ending here, some snow there, and there is the city of Wilga, which isn't huge, but it's not the smallest city on the seaside. There's the lake, and here starts the national park. So you can actually, well, you have to pay the, I think you have to pay the entrance fee to go inside. And there's a long road that you can follow here, and you can actually rent a bike or buy some tickets to ride on a bus. But hey, riding a bike is cool. And you can ride the bike all the way through this forest to the dunes. And you have these dunes which supposedly move with the wind. So the wind is usually from the western direction, which makes the dunes move a bit during the time. And I've been there. They are pretty big. Would guesstimate like 15, maybe 30 meters, maybe more. I'm not really sure. And here, somewhere in the woods, like maybe here or here, is the area where we record tours. I think V2 or V1 were tested and developed. So that used to be military area. Okay, the weather is clearing up. I don't see any rain coming up, so that's nice. And we have this huge lake here. So let's mark the end of the lake, which we can clearly see now on our chart. So I know that's the next point I need to check. So we're here. I'll mark this spot because I can see it. And when we get there, I remember to look at the chart and try to navigate from there. Again, I'm only looking at the nav graph that I showed you. I don't have any other reference at the time. The Volante is there, but it's hidden below the nav graph. The kitty is pretty chill. So I saw her waking up and she walked in front of me, but it looks like she's chill and not making any noise yet. The time will come though. So let's Let me stretch a bit. Still can't find some comfortable position when I'm swimming. Maybe one day I'll find. If you have any advice, please let me know. Okay, I'll hide for a second and scratch myself. Okay, I'm back. Actually, in that case, I even have a text that I can show you. Not this one, not that one either. It will be here then. Hey. Okay, here are the dunes. So that's a tourist spot that you can actually visit as a tourist. And you drive the bike all the way up to here, leave the bike here, and then you can walk at the dunes. You cannot go all the way down. You're only allowed to enter like to this spot, and the other dunes are beyond limits because it's national park. All the dunes. And we can see some snow inland, no snow here on the seaside. Actually, there are some wind turbines there, which I have from the VFR pack, from Wilga VFR on Flight Cynthia. This VFR pack is great, all these obstacles they made navigating, well, a lot easier, and I actually use that when flying real aircraft. Engine instruments are in the green, so we are good. Feel free to use the blurs and sound alerts. I think I still get scared of them. Not as chill as Jesus when they go off, except when Jesus comes in and fires up the thunderstorm, then I maybe make some big eyes. Now remember that we are not on the live time, but we are on the live weather, so maybe the rain stopped a bit because it's 9:10, and or maybe for some other reason. Actually see some hills there, so when you fly here in full blazing sun, you do not see those terrain features because everything is so evenly lit, but now because there are some shadows and it's way darker, you can see all those terrain features inland, which is pretty cool. I totally missed them last time I flew here in the scene. Okay, the end of the lake is coming up soon, so it's here. That's the spot we marked on the chart, and then we can see next small lake and next big lake. So let's look at the chart. It's not the one. That's the one. So here's the end of the lake that we're approaching. The next one is the small lake here and the big lake over there. I will not mark them yet because I can barely see them. But once we really reach the end of the lake, okay, let's mark the small lake. Small lake over here. So normally on my VFR charts that I use in Poland, we have also forest contours, which I use all the time. They're pretty cool. Unfortunately, they're not here, so I cannot use the forest. I think we have power lines, at least in the US. We have the bodies of water, cities and towns, which in sparsely populated areas are totally useless because there are houses everywhere or no houses, so you cannot really correlate that. And the things that we saw before we hosted those obstacles, so the wind force we were seeing are probably those ones. So I really miss the forest countries here. I would love to have them on the VFR chart, but I know the American charts don't have them, so Navigraph probably won't. We're eager to implement that. Around 50 meters, the aircraft seems to be trimmed, more or less. Just hitting the stick every now and then. We're doing 180, 190 kilometers per hour, so 100 knots. My clock is ticking 22 minutes. Let's reset it, and I'll start now at the end of the big lake. We are flying somewhere halfway between the clouds and the sea level, which is pretty okay, so the ceiling is pretty high. You can have a look at the meter. I wonder what it will say. So we'll have the meter for Gdańsk, aka Danzig. If we scroll down long enough, Echo Papa Gold Delta, here we go. So winds from the south, 11 knots, so that's quite a lot. That's the kick we felt when taking off. As soon as I lifted the rudder, and I totally did not expect that. Visibility is 10 kilometers or more, and we have EU clouds at 1,300 and broken 3,900, so almost 4,000 feet, which will make it in meters, 1,200 meters. Okay, so that's pretty high. Nothing to worry about. That's actually VFR weather. Rider, unbelievable. Okay, past the big lake, and then we see the small lake and another big lake. I marked the small lake on the chart. I'll just wait until we pass it and continue from there. So it's super easy to navigate when you're following the seashore. As soon as you hit inland in the northern area of Poland, this will be more challenging because the town contours there don't tell you much. And they're also hard to follow. There's not much to look for, so I wonder how we'll do that. I think I'll need to be more careful with my heading and timing. And maybe we'll try to do some dead reckoning. I'll see how that works. So let's have a look at this new Volanta overlay that you see on the top. What you have here, speed 80 knots. Is it indicated or ground speed? I think that's the ground speed because indicated would be 100 knots. Vertical speed, which is very responsive, so that's pretty cool. Heading, altitude in feet, it's 1000, that's matching our 300 meters. We have our departure and arrival, so that's pretty nice because it's just in your face. Whenever anyone is watching, they know where we're going from or to, unless I forget to tune it on Volanta. ATC not available. NW is Volanta, which I'm not sure what NW is supposed to be. Pace cruising, ETA 2212. That will be, I don't know. Is this supposed to be my local time or Zulu? We'll find about that when we get there. Actually didn't calculate how long it will take for the flight because now it's 3 hours tops, so we have enough fuel. and it's easy to follow and not get lost along the route, so I didn't bother about too much. I actually flew it in Cessna 310 in the sim before, the full route including landing, but not the scenery that we'll be using. And 88. So that's might be my local time, so I will need to have a look if we can change it to Zulu. That will be interesting. And the bar, which is showing the progress of the flight, so we're halfway through. I wonder if I know how long we'll be flying. I actually haven't noted down the time. It's just like forgetting timer on A320, and then you have to figure out what time we actually took off so you can write it in the books, in the logbook. Okay, so the small lake is just passing. We have the big lake over there, and I'll mark the end of the big lake on the chart. There's this thingy here extending into the sea, so we should be able to see that on the chart. Let's have a look. And we have the big lake, and there is the tip with the town, so I will mark the tip because that's easy to see. Okay, back into the plane. And the turbulence is less than it was when we started, so it's actually feeling much better now. So that's quite a long route. You see Cessna 310, that was much quicker to go because the aircraft is obviously flying 1.5 times faster than us. And I think we're flying against the wind. Yes, so the wind in the meter was 19 or 0, so coming from here, which is geographical I think, but it's ±5 degrees, so not too much big of a difference. And we're flying this direction, so we actually have the headwind here. And thinking about it, the wind here most of the time is from the west, so a good chance of having headwind. You can see the town that we saw on the chart, and there's also an obstacle here, which is pretty cool. This might be a lighthouse in real life, but here it looks like some kind of tower. I would definitely expect it to be a lighthouse. And there's a river flowing out into the sea here. Okay. Next, what we see, so there is this arc and there should be a city somewhere along over there, but I cannot see it now, so I will not mark it on the chart. I will stay with what marked before. So we're just overflying this city. There's the river flowing out. We do not see the obstacle, and I will keep it marked because that's something that I have confirmed. So I'll keep my thumb over here and we'll try to look for the next city when this arc of the beach ends. So we're here over the town that we marked before, with the river flowing into the sea. We'll follow this arc. As soon as I see the next city, I will mark it with my thumb, but because I do not see it yet, I will not be marking it. Jump outside. Maybe you can try to play the drone camera. Hey, 10 minutes! Hi, very nice to see you. So I'll brief you what we're doing today, because you just arrived jumping like a madman. I think you're getting ready for your flight tomorrow, aren't you? I can see the energy. How are you doing, my friend? I'm doing pretty great. I'm actually having a whole day now. So early today I did 12-kilometer walk, which for you in the mile, I don't know how much it is, like 8 miles. And we have snow here in the city, so it was pretty cool. And now we're flying tour around Poland in GA. Looks amazing. Yes, so we're flying in the Wilga. It's a bit snowy here in Poland, so I did choose the white livery, so we camouflage pretty well. Earlier we flew through the rain. I think it wasn't snow, but it was rain. But it all cleared up now. Now, obviously, we are not on the live time, but we are on the live weather, so I don't want to do VFR here during the night time, because that's not cool. So we have actually chose somewhere in the morning, so I think we have 12 now, but we are using the live weather. But because it's nighttime, you know, it's not what you might expect. And cleared up nicely, got some good visibility there. Yeah, now the visibility is amazing, but before we had to go down to 150 meters, which is 500 feet for you imperial units people. And we were just able to see the beach because we were following the seashore, so we couldn't see much in the front. We were just able to see the beach here in this corner window, but that was enough for me to follow it because I know the terrain there. And to explain what we are doing, we're doing GA trip around Poland that I have created for my VA commander, and I will show everything. So here we have our tour, so that's our airline. We have those tours, so we have a few of them, and that's the tour that I created, choosing some of the places that I have been to in real life, some of them I haven't. And we are doing first leg today, so we just started. And we don't have all this airports map on the chart because they're not there. We're doing the first leg here from Estonia, Echo Papa Juliet Alpha, to Kołobrzeg, Echo Papa Golf or Golf Q, I can't remember. So today we're just flying along the seashore, and we are doing full VFR, no GPS, no nothing. I'm just looking at the power chart. Poland is such a lovely place. This tour is going to be epic. Yay, thank you. It's pretty cool. I flew some of those places in real GA aircraft, in Technam actually, so I have seen some of that, well, most of that. So I have actually flew from Poznan, so I have flew this part, and here in the south. I haven't been to Nowy Targ, and I haven't flew these legs, but I have been in the general area over here and over here. I haven't been to Warsaw in a real aircraft. So that's the tour that we're going through. Now the way it works, I do log into the page, and then I need to do the logs in sequence, and I click view, dispatch, and then in the ACARS I load it from the dispatch, so those two fields are marked, and then I start the flight, and as soon as we finish, it should mark the leg done for me. And we are flying in Vatsy today, but we are on Unicom and there's no one around, and I got so stressed I forgot to call my takeoff. No one was there, so not a big deal. It's probably why I forgot, because when you're talking to people, remember. And we have Volante running in the background. I will not show you now because that will be cheating, because I want to do full chart VFR. But what I'm looking at is I am looking at Navigraph today. And I'm doing it like I do in real life. So I'm marking things with my thumb, but because I do not put the thumb here, I mark it with this big plus. So I see this thing in front of me, so I'll mark it here and I'll show you very quickly. So this is the city of Pustka that you can see in front of us. And there's a seaport, you can see this, and probably a river, so I'm not sure which is which, but you can see those piers extending into the sea. So I have marked in the chart, so that's the last place I knew I confirmed. So I try to keep it in my memory that now it's in front of me, and sometime I will pass it and I need to look back. When I'm streaming, I keep on forgetting to call my landings in the network. Yeah, no, I bet you do. But to be honest, if there's no people around, it's easy to forget, so it might happen when you're flying real aircraft as well. And back to the chart side, I can do some explanation. So previously, I confirmed this city, so I had my thumb here. And I say thumb because when I'm flying in real life, I hold the chart in hand and I move the chart up and down. So the idea is to not move your head up and down because that's confusing for your head, so you can feel dizzy, and it's not great because you're not looking outside. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to pull your chart up, not move your head. Obviously I don't do that all the time because it's difficult, but sometimes I try to. What I do is I hold the chart in my hand and I mark the spot where I wear or I see in front of me with my thumb, and I just hold it all the time. So when I move the chart down and I pull it back up, I see the point I wanted to see. If I don't do that, if I just put the charts somewhere, whenever I pull it up, I need to spend like 5, 15, 30 seconds to locate that spot again. And when things go bad, that's not how we want to waste our time. So I would rather mark it with my thumb, and then when I pull it up, it's there. Unless it's super cheap flight and it's nothing to bother. But when you need to stay sharp, that's a really good thing to do. That works for the VFR. For the IFR, well, it's not a big deal. So that's what I marked. So I saw this. Now there's nothing I can identify here. So, okay, so we just flew past this city, so I can mark it. There's nothing I can really identify here. So there is this small town, which will be hard to see. There is some small lake, and there is this arc of a beach. So that's easy to follow, and then it will turn around and we'll see a lake. So that's the lake is what I'm looking for next, and I remember that the arc is turning right, then it will start turning left. So I'm here. When I see the next thing in a reasonable distance, I will mark it. Actually, I can see it right now. So you see the arc here. You see the arc here turning right, and then it starts turning left, and there's this big lake. And the small town, oh, it's probably somewhere over there. Can't really see it. And the small lake, it's probably behind the forest. Other things you can see, I have the Wilga VFR pack from Flights NTO, which pulls all sorts of obstacles in Europe, and those wind turbines are coming from them. So you can see all sorts of obstacles like wind turbines and towers, chimneys, whatnot. That's another thing you can use for VFR navigation. I really like using it. And you can also see it in the nav graphic. Nav graphic is in the VFR mode, and I manually turned off our airplane position. And you can see those wind turbines, they're all over the place. Well, they're not very specific. But sometimes when there's a long chimney or a long radio tower or a power plant, that's easy to spot. And you can also see the bodies of water, which are pretty good to identify most of the time. The rivers, small rivers, can be very difficult to see sometimes between the trees. We also have the roads, but the small roads are somewhat hard to see from the plane because they're between the trees, they do not follow a straight line, so it's not great. I don't really love the roads. Then you have the highways, which you can see from miles, but they're not... Usually they do not have any special markings on the chart. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, so it might be a bit hit or miss. Right, like some of these roads you can see from the plane, some you cannot. So whatever that, big cities are sometimes easy to identify when they have sharp edges, but in Poland sometimes cities don't have very well defined edges in real life, so it might be a bit hit or miss. And sometimes you can have sparsely populated area, but populated somewhat everywhere, so it's really hard to identify what is what. We have the power lines, so I think these are the gray lines. And we should have the railway. Actually, it looks a bit better when you have not the dark mode enabled, but I love the night mode, so I keep it on. The railways are good to look for from the aircraft because they follow straight path, so that's much easier to follow than the road, but sometimes they might be hard to see from distance. As soon as you spot it, it's easy to follow. Sometimes you might have a hard time spotting it. So I can't remember how the railways are marked. Let me see some. I'll try to show you. And the last thing, which is not here, which we have on our Polish VFR charts, is the forest contours. And I really wish it was here, because I use it all the time when I fly the real aircraft. And those forest edges, they are spot on. And even in the sim, they are spot on. So I actually took the charts out, the real chart I have, and I tried to fly like I usually do. And these forest edges, they are spot on. Navigraph has really gone a long way those last few years. Yes, they have. And you can see that they are a chill company. They are doing it slowly but steadily and really caring about the quality, but they are not jumping to get something out in the wild just for the sake of it. So I really appreciate it. I just wish we can have some few features here and there. So I would love to see those forest contours, but because the American charts do not have them, I really doubt it will come up. But I have them on my peripheral chart, aviation chart. So we can see the big lake on the left they discussed, and there is something here which might be the old military airfield. I don't know if it was used for landings and takeoffs or it was just emergency airfield, but you can clearly see the runways here. And I'll show you this on the chart. So there is the lake and there's the wind farm in the back. And we are slowly but steadily approaching another rain shower, but I think it's okay. The visibility through it seems to be okay so far. Sometimes you cannot even see those rain showers. Sometimes you fly and you just hit the water that you didn't see because it was so light that it was very translucent. So let me show you this on chart. So we have this lake, the airport, the military base is the Wilga. I'm not sure if they do any active flying. It's actually military exercise area. And in the back we saw some wind farms, but they're hard to identify. So next what we're looking for is end of the lake, the town, Yaroslavets. I've actually been here when I was a kid, and then there will be a next lake. So on this turn to the left, we're looking for the next city. Let's hide it, and now I need to be a bit on the edge so I don't lose any visibility. So you do not want to lose the ground from your side, and also you do not want to fly into something that will make you lose the visibility. So I'm trying to gauge if I can see forward or if it's time to turn around. And we can actually see the town I told you about in front of us. So it's here where the edge of the seashore is turning left. There is some obstacle here, I think we didn't have on the chart, and the town. So I will wait until we passed it and then I will mark it on the chart. So far so good, pretty cool. I wanted a chill flight, but it's taking way longer than I anticipated, but it's fine. And that's because I flew it in a Cessna 310 last time in the sim. Now we're on the Wilga, which is a bit slower. So we are doing 180 km per hour, which is 100 knots, but we have some sort of headwind. Have you managed to get yourself in a Wilga IRL? Actually, the first time I flew IRL was in a Wilga, but I was 4 years old. And for some reason we didn't have a headset, so that scared me a bit. But that was the one on the time I flew a Wilga. But I was in the backseat, and I was 4 years old. Having more stories with the Wilga, we used it as a tow plane, so another time when I was a kid, I was pushing it out of the hangar, I flipped and it rolled over my palm, so my hand went under the wheel, but it survived. I don't remember which one it was, so no big deal. The aircraft is pretty heavy, it weighs I think the maximum takeoff weight is 1.2 ton, so the empty weight is, no idea, 300 kilos at least. Not big deal though, the wheel is pretty big, so they keep talking about that there is a version of Wilga with the bush tires, the tundra tires, But this is pretty funny because the tires here, they are really big. Like they might look tiny on the plane, but the plane is super tall. Like when I stand, like my head is somewhere here when it's on the ground. So the plane is really tall. I'm not sure if I can reach the top of the wing when I'm standing. I probably can't. And when you need to fuel it, the fuel caps are here on the top. So what you do is you climb here. So there's one step over here, another step over here, and you stand here. You can, I think, put your other foot here on the cowling, and then you need to top up the fuel. Okay, let's try to head somewhere safe. And we're back. Nothing happened. We passed the city of Yaroslavl, so let me mark it quickly and I'll continue talking. We're having fun. That's a heck of a climb to a refuel. Yeah, it is a heck of a climb, and it's way more than on a Cessna, and it's not very pleasant on a Cessna, so you can imagine. It looks pretty iconic when people are filming it, I'm not gonna lie. Like when you see people filming the Wilga, it is iconic. Like the aircraft is towering over you, the guy or girl is standing there, and it's cool. So we're passing this. I see the lake just in front of us, so mark this. Okay, I don't have this hand on my stick when I'm doing that, so you have seen us deviate a bit. I don't care about the heading or altitudes all too much today, so we just bounce around between 150 meters and 450 meters, which is between 500 and 1500 feet. That puts us in a good VFR area. When I fly here, I don't like to fly this low because I like to have the altitude that I can trade for safety when my engine quits for whatever reason. So when I was flying here, I was at 3,000 or 5,000 feet. But in sim, I'm not so bothered about that. But just imagine the engine quits now, which it can sometimes. Well, it happened to people before, it obviously shouldn't. Then you can't really reach any safe place. You can reach the beach and you can reach the water, but it's not very safe, neither for you nor people on the ground. And actually there was this accident in US, like last year, when there was a warbird, a Navy warbird, landing in the sea, just in front of the beach, and you can see it's passing just overhead someone in the water. So it's quite an easy way to kill someone in water. And then when you ditch, you don't want to be too far into the sea because no one can reach you, even though they can see you, and you don't want to be on the beach because there are people there. Except when it's winter like today, then maybe you stand a chance. So what I do when I fly here, I fly at 3,000 to 5,000 feet, so I can reach some safe field inland, like there or there. That's what I do. That's not what everyone does. So. And another thing, I had told this before, that the position of the pilot when you buy the Wilga from Godfriends is way higher. It's like this. And I asked the developer about it. They said they modeled that after a guy who was pretty tall. So that's what the guy saw. But when I get into the plane, what I see is more like that. So when I'm taxiing, I don't really see what's in front of me. So that's it. Why are the beaches so deserted today, Vex? Well, A, it's winter. B, it's sim. So in the sim there is not too many people. But actually those beaches, they can be between the cities, so there actually might be not too many people over there. Oh, is this not IRL? Well, I hate to break it to you, but it's not. You can clearly see some... Oh, can you? Some deficiencies. Like, see, these water patterns are repeating. It's clearly not IRL. But I love the snow, how it's not everywhere. That looks pretty decent. And I flew this route in full blazing sun, and it was looking pretty dull because you could just see the sea and the terrain inside, inland. But now, because of this poor visibility, you can see all the terrain relief, like all the hills and small features on the horizon. So that actually looks better in the sim in this weather. And another wind farm, I love it. The snow in the sim looks really good now. Yeah, it does. I noticed a few glitches here and there when I'm on the airfield, but hey, it's okay. Okay, I got lost in my thoughts a bit, so I didn't follow where we are, so let's try to find out again. So we see a city, a big one, and there are those piers into the sea again, so that's either the water flowing to the sea and or a seaport. Let's have a look. I swear I can smell the fumes now, so sometimes I fly the sim in the sim and I can smell engine fumes or oil, and oh, this is really realistic, and then I realize it's actually coming from the outside, it's not from the plane in the sim. It's the gotcha moment. Okay, so we're here. I'm keeping my thumb here all the time, so now you can see why it's very useful, because I got lost in my thoughts and I look here and okay, I was here, so I don't need to think too much. And this is the city we see next. This is Darwovo. So what is here? I love the smell of piston fuel in the morning. Well, I do, just not too much of it. It can get you feel a little too dizzy. So what happens here? Here's the city. I haven't been here on foot. I haven't set my foot in this city, but I did fly here in real life in the plane. And here's military airbase. It's a helicopter airbase, so they have helicopters here. They actually have the sea helicopters. So we had Mi-14, which are the cool Soviet sea helicopters that they use mostly for search and rescue, but also anti-submarine. They were repaired. Okay, I'll mark it and we'll get back into the sea. Next should be Donkey and another long lake. So let's hop in. It's looking a bit worse now, but I can see everything so far. We're 2050 meters, so it's okay. There is snow on the beach, so that's pretty cool. And I will probably soon lose the visibility in front of me, so I'll be looking from this side window here. So I hope you can see that well. So what I was saying, they were keeping those Mi-14s way past the design end of life date. So they were supposed to fly certain amount of hours, but they extended it a few times during a lot of repairs and rehauls and whatnot. But even the mechanics can't do the miracles now, so they're ending the life now, and we ordered Merlins, a few of them. So that's Augusta Westland 101, if I remember correctly. It's a big 3-engine helicopter, if I recall correct. So it will be for the search and rescue and anti-submarine, and I think they ordered the combined configuration, so it will be serving both purposes. Which is pretty good, pretty cool, and I hope they'll get them soon. I really do. Did you say 3-engine helicopter? This must be massive. Yeah, Merlins are massive. They have 3 engines for reliability, I guess. Also, it increases a bit your performance during hover, but adds a lot of weight that doesn't help you in any way. So those are massive. You can Google it. It's Merlin. Merlin 11 is the number. I can find it for you, I think. Yeah, August Westland 101, so let's have a look here. So that's the one. It is massive. It has a lot of room inside, so that's great. Because, for me as a civilian, they're mostly for search and rescue. So if you're on a sinking ship on Baltic, under our area of responsibility, you want to have some space there. So it's massive, but it's not the biggest helicopter in the world. Obviously the Chinook is bigger and Sea Stallion is way bigger. So that's it. Pretty cool, right? And they have been ordered a few years ago. I know they have, some of them at least have been built and painted, but we haven't received them yet. Yeah, it is a beast. Okay, so here in the corner of my window, just behind the wiper, I can even operate the wiper. Oh, come on. Okay, we'll light up the cabin. The wiper, or is it here? Yeah, you can see the wiper. Is it doing anything? I don't know. But we don't need it. So this might be surprising to you. I think no one has mentioned it before, but when you're flying, you don't always have the windshield that is clean, or sometimes there can be water flowing over it, or you can have sun blazing and lighting up. So sometimes you can barely see anything, and this might be surprising because if you're driving a car, you usually want to see pretty well. But because when you're flying, the windshield can cover a lot of things, like the rain, flowing water. Most of the aircraft don't have any wipers, so you just have to work with what you have. There can be fog forming inside the aircraft, and you have to see through it somehow. So whenever you're driving a car, everyone gets a bit crazy when that happens. But because I'm flying the place and I'm used to this kind of situation, I can drive a car without turning on the wipers until it gets really bad. And people get a bit anxious, so I do it for them. Just imagine you see just lights of the cars in front of you and you have to follow them, so it's a bit of a stretch. Obviously on the road you want the wipers, or you... what's this emote called? Brace, or you have to brace yourself. But in the aircraft, well, that's your daily bread and butter right there. One time I had a failed wiper in the car and I had to drive behind the truck at a safe distance, just judging my place by the lights I saw in front of me. So you see, yeah, you saw, heard someone breaking through. So you can't see anything up front, but I'm looking here in the corner. That's my spot where I look. And we are nearing the end of this lake, so let's mark it on the chart before we get lost. Obviously you won't get lost with me, I hope. And visibility is dropping again. Yeah, a bit. It's fine. Okay. I wouldn't like it in real life. But here I don't care. We can just try what we can do. The button can get. Okay, so I marked the end of the lake. There should be a bit spot of the ground. See, there's nothing there, and there should be another lake. And then there is a city. So we're looking for a lake starting soon. So here's my thumb. Let's jump back into the aircraft. And look, we have the ice formed on the sea. I bet it wouldn't form so far, except if it was from the snow that just fell. So how do you like this gear for navigation? Does it make sense? Like, do you think it will be easy for you? Because I'm pretty good at it, and I love doing it. I just like practicing it, so I usually have GPS fired up for backup. I will tune in the VORs here and there, so I have another backup. But I really like just looking out the window and following the chart just to stay sharp. So how do you like it? Does it make sense? Did I explain right? Do you have any questions? One thing I'm not very good at is judging the distance. So you see something on the ground and ATC asks you, how many miles is that from you? Well, that's a lot of guesstimate, and my range of error would be pretty high. I can see some obstacle here. Let's see if it's on the chart. I'm very curious. Is the obstacle here? No. Too bad. So hey, that means how's your weekend? I saw you were celebrating like crazy. I had a good time celebrating the birthday. Awesome. The background music is the Japanese lo-fi radio, which is marked as copyright free, no copyright. I'll play the link for you. It's pretty cool, so that's what we're listening to. Okay, now let's focus a bit, because we do not see the actual seashore like we usually do. So I would actually love to have a walk right here in real life. This would be pretty cool. And I lighted up the cabin, so otherwise it's pretty dark here. Oh, now I see what the other thing is for. Okay, so I think that the lake on the left now, as you can see, it looks a bit differently, and we saw some houses over here. So that's not looking right. Okay, forest is definitely not into the sea, so I follow this forest. I'm sure I'm not flying into the sea, or I could get lost at sea. And we are below 150 meters now, which is not great. So I'll just mark the next lake on the chart real quick. So we're somewhere here now, and we're looking for this town next. Okay, let's follow the trees. So now what's super confusing to me is that we do not see the sea, we just see the ice. And the ice looks pretty much like a land. So I do not want to get lost at sea, so I'll try to follow those trees. Oh, there are no forests growing in the sea. And 10 minutes, I'm not sure if you know, but Volanta released update today, so it's pretty hard without it. And the part of the update is the overlay for Twitch that you can see on the top of the screen. It's actually the data from Volanta. So I'm really happy without it. I think it's much easier to use than whatever everyone is using now or has been using before. And I never tried to run it. So I really trust this Volanta overlay will be working fine. Not sure how much configurable it is, but it works for me. I'm still not sure about the two fields that we see. So ATC, what will that show up? I don't know, maybe whatever I have tuned in, that might be the thing. The NW says Volanta, whatever that means, I'm not sure. And ETA, so ETA previously was 22 something, now it's 2112. So the 2112, okay, so that should be an arrival in Zulu. That actually makes sense. Another fun thing about this aircraft is the artificial horizon. So I'm not sure if you know, but it's not like the Western style. It shows you like what your airplane looks in relation to the horizon. So you can see that it's not the horizon that's moving, it's the little airplane that's tilting. And that's actually not the wildest artificial horizon that is there. It's in order planes. Oh, we have the city over here and the lake ended. So let me mark that real quick. And that or is ending. So I moved my virtual thumb over here. And now there is really nothing there until we reach co-object, which should be very easy to spot. It's quite a big city with the seaport, so it will be there, and then our airfield is just before it. That's a great playlist, by the way. Yeah, I like it. Just listening to it, so yeah, it makes me feel a bit better when we're flying here, so I'm trying not to stress out. I played the bass again on the intro today. I haven't been doing it in a week, so I was pretty stressed out again. And we're playing, I realized I forgot to prepare the playlist. And before I was playing live, I couldn't do it when the stream was loading. And that was a fun realization. And I was talking about the artificial horizon. There is a wild version, so wild as crazy. Not only the aircraft is moving instead of the horizon, but the sky is marked on the bottom and the earth is marked on the top. It's done so because that's the simplest construction that you can get. but you can imagine that having the sky and ground reversed can be a killing factor. So I'm not sure if you understand how that works. So just imagine you have this gyroscope, so like it stands rigid in place in space, and then what you have, like this gyroscope is inside the instrument, and you have the whole aircraft moving around. So now when you're facing down, you're actually looking at the top part, so that's why the ground is marked on the top and the sky is on the bottom. So just because this gyro is simply embedded in the instrument and painted over, and your airplane is moving around it, what they did is they painted the gyro, and it's showing the correct thing, but it's not very intuitive. It's just opposite of what you are supposed to see. But then I believe, I'm not sure about the horizon, if it's showing reverse or not. So I know some early Soviet planes like MiG-15 had it, and maybe some other training planes, and I think also Tomcat had it. Okay, visibility here is pretty chill, so we cannot see very much up front, but we can clearly see the ground, so it's not terrible. Sometimes what happens is that even the ground is hazy, and to be honest, when I was flying real plane and it was 5 kilometers visibility, I wasn't feeling very comfortable. And then when you don't have anything on the terrain to judge where you are, that's quite scary. But because we have a nice terrain feature to follow here, we do not need to do the dead reckoning. That's pretty okay for us today. So when we see the city, it will be our destination. I have a terrain for co-object, so it's might pop up here in the left at some point or not. Another funny thing I noticed in the sim is that any reflections, like those markings here, or any features in the cabin of screen view, are really making it hard to see outside. But when you're flying real aircraft, because you have two eyes, they are not so much of a problem, because one eye is usually seeing over whatever is there. So your brain is able to filter out those reflections and also those struts, because one eye can see over the struts. So your brain is just seeing everything, although you have the struts in your way. Yeah, just perfect weather to get at the beach. This for me. I wonder what kind of weather you guys like. It's blazing sun, something more chill. I really like winter and when it's cold and the dank of the heat. Also, we have this fancy clock here. It looks like the most sophisticated instruments on the whole aircraft. Also, it looks like a Soviet clock. Definitely has Cyrillic markings on it. And the running joke is that Soviet clocks are the best because they run the fastest. Precious gauge, yes. I'm sure it's fastened in place with some solid chain. Let's go look at our engine instruments. Everything is in green. I have icing disabled in the sim because last time I flew Airbus, the sim was a bit over the edge with the icing, and even though every anti-icing system was on, the aircraft was just disabled and wouldn't climb, so I had to turn off the icing. I forgot to turn it on. You can see all these terrain features like popping nicely. Love it. I forgot to start the clock when we were at the last known position, so that would make it easier for us to gauge how much we have flown. I established earlier that we are doing 100 miles, and that's 1 2/3 mile per minute. But actually our ground speed is more like, well, at the moment I think 80 knots, just looking on the overlay. So that's a bit less. So that's like 1.5 mile, or even a bit less. We're still 150 meters, so that's still legally okay for VFR. And I'm not sure if you know, but this definition for VFR below 3000 feet or 900 meters is that you are free of clouds and with the visibility of the terrain, so you are sort of VFR. Then only above 900 meters or 3000 feet above ground or sea level, whichever is higher, it's 5 kilometers visibility and 1.5 kilometer horizontally from the clouds, and I forgot how much vertically from the clouds. 150 meters, I believe. Need to check again. You can actually find it in this table with the definitions for airspace classes. Okay, let's have a look at chart. I think I know more or less where we are. So that's our last position, then we flew all the way, and I think we're somewhere here now. So I'll just mark it, but I'm not 100% confident we're here, because I didn't manage to confirm it. So I'll mark it, but I remember it's our guesstimated position. As I mentioned, I have the scenery for our destination, Kołobrzeg. So I'm curious what it looks like. I don't remember if I've checked it, so I hope it works. 10 minutes. What are we flying today? Tomorrow. I think I'll join you at some point at least. Do you have a plan? I hope you can post it so I can prepare earlier, and we'll definitely have fun. So pretty hyped about it. I think I'm at that tricky approach. Like, you're only doing tricky approach recently, and I flew the Airbus after a long break on a tricky approach with you, with a tailwind, so that was a lot. But you'll have to fly in the tube. Yes, I've been flying the tubes quite a lot, so I got more familiar with the Airbus. Okay, so we see the airport here, so easy peasy, we're not lost. Yay! But we'll just hop over to see the town, see the city. So the city is just in front of us, somewhere in the mist. I'm afraid what tricky approach you have next for us. But I did fly Airbus recently, because you can just fire it up and leave it alone, do something else in the background, so it's not taking my attention, and I use Autonaut most of the time, so I just don't need to touch it. And I really love the plane. So yeah, I'm very happy to fly the tubes tomorrow with you. Just make sure to post the schedule before and the route, so everyone can get ready. Last time I knew the route beforehand, that helped me big time. Yes, XOXO! We have the airport inside. I mean, we had. Worst thing is to have something inside, lose it and never find it again. Can happen with the airport. I'm still recovering from the weekend. I hope that means it was so good. I really hope. You didn't get sick or anything, or ill, or just tired. So I hope you had a lot of fun. Must have been great. Okay, can we actually see the city? So we will have the seaport and the city, so we cannot miss them. There is this pier extending into the sea. I'm not sure what's the name. Pier is the right name. It's basically like a concrete bridge that has slant only one end, and then adds ends at some point. Haha, my friends showed me a lot of love, but I don't remember past the Friday. Okay, so it was a good party. I'm happy for you. So actually have been here. I did set my foot in land here in real life. So I think I do recognize this part of the city. Like there are some hotels here and whatnot. Whoa. Yes. Okay. We're definitely seeing some more city architecture. And the crane. What's the crane doing that? And I think we'll have the seaport in front of us. Yeah, the crane looks great in the mist. And if you know anything about matter, sorry, what I'm trying to say, if you know anything about NOTAMs, you know that most of the NOTAMs are about cranes. Okay, I think we can see the city. And we are getting painful low here. So I'm in this awkward position looking to the left. So I'm trying to imagine my head is tilted to the left. And here's the city. Okay, so this round building, there's actually like, it's actually elevated, and I think there's a lighthouse here. And here's the seaport. So we have missed the pier, so let's try to go back and see if the pier is even there. So I'm trying to keep the reference with the ground, not think too much. Okay, now this instrument, what is it showing? Okay, this is getting a bit crazy now. Okay, the pier is not here. That's a bit unfortunate. Okay, I'll cheat a bit maybe and elevate myself a bit. Your palms are sweaty watching. No, I'm totally chill. So, I see some of the land here, which is actually the sea. I'm trying to look at my altitude indicator and try not to climb or descend too much. I'm really not used to this style of the altitude indicator. I'm not sure what it's trying to show me. Look like markings it have. They're quite bizarre. So it's showing the 30 degrees here, but that's like where normally you see the 60. So it's not 1-to-1, which is quite odd. If you know what I'm saying. Like normally I believe this would be like 45 degrees. Or maybe this black marking here is throwing me off. So we have our instruments that we can trust. Obviously in this aircraft you wouldn't like to be in this weather. Relying only on your instruments because you do not have any backup. The Air Force planes, they do have a second instrument, second artificial horizon that you can use, that is supposed to run on battery power for at least 30 minutes. So if you lose it, you have the other one. But here, because we have only one, if we lose it, we are in a lot of trouble. It's not even a road road, but it's definitely not great. Okay, you can see the beach on the right. It's strong light, so we can see a bit better. We have all the markings in Polish, but I'm very familiar with it. If you know anything that I'll try to explain. That's very odd. Yeah, that's very odd indeed. Okay, see the beach looming there, so that's cool. And our airport should be somewhere soon. So this is not the worst kind of visibility, because you can see pretty well until a point. Usually when it's like a fog, you cannot even see very well whatever is close to you, so that's a bit disappointing then. Okay, I think this is the runway here. So let's get ready for the action plan. Okay, so I think what we'll do... Okay, the wind is coming from the southwest, so we need to do the approach like that. So I'll go a bit into the scene, and I'll turn around and we'll do the approach. So, roll forward. We'll adjust the power a little bit. I heard something on the V-pilot, so let me have a look there. Nothing fast. Yeah, I guess. I'm not sure what's the speed per flaps here. So our action plan is to get to the shore, and then we'll be able to see the runway, and we'll start the approach from there. We're super low, so not a big deal. I'm just looking all over the place at my artificial horizon, at the place outside, but I'm relying my spatial position on the artificial horizon, but I'm trying to navigate by what I see outside, and the beach is really helping out. Oh, okay. Didn't check what the runways are here. Bear with me. Runway is 25. Cool. Okay. I think we tested our luck a bit too much here. Okay. 1 notch of flaps. 2 notches, 3 notches. Co-object traffic, Commander 117, short final, runway 25, co-object traffic. You can see we're really on the short final. It looks like we're floating in place. I need to keep above the stall speed. I didn't trim correctly. And we are totally off everything. And we have a huge crosswind. So I think we'll just touch down with this cross. Yeah, we'll just look at the windsock. It's crazy. It's full left rudder. There we go. Power idle. Okay, we bounce like crazy here. That's definitely what you would like to do normally. We could have killed the aircraft because we bounced, and I didn't recognize that we bounced. I thought we were on the ground. But we bounced, we got in the air, and I moved the power to idle, and then we slammed into the runway again. I'm not sure how high this was, so I might try to watch it in the replay. But I didn't recognize we bounced. I think we're on the ground. So, well, usually, I'm not sure if I would recognize in a real aircraft. So when you're landing on grass, you can definitely see you're on ground, but when you're landing on concrete, well, it wasn't a little mess. It was crazy. So, there's taxiway Bravo to the left. Obviously, this airport doesn't have those fancy markings. It's a tiny little airport. Let's go flaps up. Put our landing light on. That might have helped a bit. Light of our K-min. Let's go to the left. Co-object traffic, Commander 17, vacating left by Bravo co-object traffic. So again, when you're taxiing in this aircraft, you need to hold the stick all the way back, so you do not flip over. How fast those taxiway signs are. Yeah, it's like getting a Hilton apartment in Alaska cabin. That's how out of place it looks. I'm not even kidding. Premium air feels. It's not very premium in real life. It's cool. So I'm not sure where we are supposed to park. Apron 1, apron 2. I mean, it looks very premium with those taxiway signs. So I think we'll just turn around here, shut down, and I think we'll have a look with the drone and then decide what next. So now I can somewhat safely add a lot of power when I'm holding the stick back. So No. And even though I'm holding full brakes, the aircraft is rolling, so that's pretty fun, cool. So what I'm trying to say is that whenever I hold the stick back, it's when we add power, the airflow is pushing our plane down, our tail down, so the aircraft won't flip over. And I think we'll be able to lift the tail just with the prop wash. No, doesn't happen. But anyway, you need to hold it back and remember that this elevator is made of metal, so it's pretty heavy, and when you let it go and there's not much airflow, it will just look down. Better than EGLL, that is London Luton. And Luton's pretty cool. I've been to Luton years ago. Years. It's pretty chill. So we'll park here. Oh, looks. There's even fuel truck and some toilets if you need them. And there's our guy, but we'll just shut down here. So let's jump in and shut down, and then I think what we'll do next. I don't know the full procedure for shutting down, so I'll just go by my sense. Let's turn off all the instruments that we obviously do not need anymore. This should have been off the whole time after we started the engine. Tail draggers just floating up on takeoff on short runways has still got to be one of those coolest things about them. Yeah, yes. Not all, like only those that have a lot of power. Those with less power, well, they take a lot of takeoff run to takeoff actually. Let me see. This should have been off all the time as well, so I need to remember next time I start up to turn off this guy and this guy. So that's the spark shower for the startup, and that's emergency fuel pump, which you do not need during the flight. Obviously. So that's okay. Now what we need is, I will need the mixture and add power. Well, let's see how that works. Now it stopped. Cool. So I'll move the throttle and prop all the way back. I will close the shutters. So I need to brush up on my Polish. Well, there's an American version, so you don't need to. But as long as you remember what is where. Okay, the instruments are pretty straightforward, so no big deal. You can usually tell by the units or what they're showing. It's easy. That all the knobs here, pretty straightforward. That's our landing light. All the switches here, well, I think that will be an issue for you. So I would put some stickers over them, or just load the American version, which is slightly different. And this one has these funny fuel gauges, and they might not be showing correctly on ground, so just treat this with a grain of salt. And our flap lever is up. Whoa, didn't want to move it. See those window? Yeah, I'm not sure if you get how it works. This has this like bulge extending outward, and there is a part that you can rotate, so it's open or closed. And this prop is huge. Like, it's a wooden prop with metal reinforcement, and it really is huge. And the cowl flaps, I was thinking earlier, so it doesn't have cowl flaps, it has the shutters. So it has the shutter here for the cylinder heads and for the oil cooler. And that's how it looks when they operate. Same functionality as cowl flaps, but implemented on the other one. American version is as good as the Polish version of the Wilga, of course. Of course, because it has the mufflers, takes away all the fun. I mean, all the noise. And on the rear side, we have this okay, let me reset the view. So that's what I would normally see in a Wilga by default. Like, I think I might be even lower. Okay, I think I put it pretty much. Gosh, that plane looks beautiful. Yeah, they really made it really good. And when I watched other people on stream, it looked great. But when I'm controlling it, I really get the feel of it. Also, it doesn't look as monumental as it looks in real life. Like, this plane is huge. Like, look at the guy inside and the wheel strut. Seriously, when I stand, like, my head is somewhere over here. It is huge. And it also has this weird paint. It's usually not shiny. It's like between shiny and matte. I'm not sure if it's age or just the kind of paint they use. And it's usually somewhat dirty. And the engine is huge. Really huge. So it weighs, the aircraft weighs as much as a small twin prop. Tecnom 1006 that I flew has barely the same takeoff weight, maximum takeoff weight. However, cleared up to troll us with the challenging landing earlier. Yeah, it cleared up earlier and then it fell all down. Look at this crosswind. Well, it was bad. Pretty loud. Let's make a screenshot. Wow, so unexcited wins. Yeah, it is pretty excited. So we can have some proof that we arrived safe and sound. At least that's what we can tell everyone. It wasn't that great. Also, notice the prop has these counterweights here. This cool thing. And the engine makes all sorts of weird noises. And also the ailerons, they have a mass balance here. That's another cool feature. We can tell everyone how premium those airplane signs are. Yeah, show it to my friends who are flying here and they will laugh. Hey look, there's even the runway sign. And the premium inside, it's also super premium. Hey, I think there's champagne coming over. I think it will be pretty chill. And let's have a look at the Volanta. So it's showing all zeros. And it is an A, because we arrived. Grass taxiways, $0. Apron signs, $100,000. Yeah, that's probably the reason why there are no apron signs here. But they might use those flags. Is there a better name for those flags? Okay, let's end this up. So it should have turned off the generator earlier. We don't need the blinker, which is a funny name for the beacon. We can just turn everything off. So that's the big light. I still wonder about the small light. What it's actually doing? It's this light here. But how is it helping anyone? Okay, it's just like ambient light. Now I can actually see it. Okay. Wall off. And this off. And the plane is dead. So we can open the door. This door is a bit of a mess to open up. And it has a latch that you can lock it on the wing. So you can actually leave it and it will not fall on your head, hopefully. And I don't really know how to operate it. See, there's this strut that's actually latching the door. This little thing. So it's meant to go inside and then it locks on the door, so it's a bit cumbersome to operate. Also, one thing that you can do is you can remove the door altogether. So it's actually for emergency release of the door, so you can just drop it. But you can also use it to remove the door to make the photo shooting, or when you have skydivers. So you can flag that. You would just get rid of one of the door, usually on the right side, so you don't excite the pilot too much, but you can get rid of both of them. So let's open up and let's jump aside. And there's this fire extinguisher. Oh, and there's the gas lock, which is also cool. I'm not sure if I had earlier, but what I did is today I mapped the trim to an axis on my joystick. So I have 100% responsiveness, but you have to be very light when you're touching the axis so it doesn't jump too much. And the reason I do that because I heard a lot of people have problem with trimming, and I said it a billion times, but I'll say it again. Trimming works through like auto repeat. So you click the button, it moves minuscule amount, then it does nothing, and then it starts moving like crazy, like key auto repeat. And that's why it's so hard to trim. So I think workaround for that is to use that axis, but then whenever you touch the trim button, it will just jump to no, so it's the other way. When you use trim button and then when you touch the axis, it will just jump. So when I have like this and I move it with the electric trim, whenever I touch the axis, it will just jump. So whenever you're using the axis, just use the axis alone. And I'll show you this electric trim. So I'll click my fingers and start moving and hit the trim at the same time, and we'll see that there's a huge delay before it starts moving. So 3, 2, 1, go. Nothing happened because I'm all the way up. So let's go to the neutral and again 3, 2, 1, go. It's not moving now. 3, 2, 1, go. Boom. So there's like a 1 second delay, so it's very hard to use. Alright, let's jump out and explore this field with the drones. Maybe we can get some hot waffles with strawberries and whipped cream. I actually had ice cream today in real life. And you can imagine there was no queue for the ice creams, so I was pretty happy about it. So hey, the weather is clearing up, maybe we can do another flight. Oh, maybe not. It's getting late. We have our aircraft. Yeah, small delay. Small, it's small when you look at it, but when you're trying to trim your aircraft and you're in the heat, it's actually a bit of a problem. So let's have a look around. We have the terminal here. The terminal. Look how premium it is. There's even the gate to cover all this premium stuff. Obviously you can segregate the waste, so that's a very good thing. We have some barrels. And we have this fence and the gate and a nice bench. Ooh, very pretty view. We can just watch everyone. So I did bounce some keys to my controller so I can move in the drone mode a bit easier. I still don't remember all of them, so bear with me. Let's print it like that. Boom! Great terminal. Yeah, it's very great. And those premium taxiway signs, they are just awesome. Oh, look at the rain. Look at the rain. Amazing. So I also have the default bindings to slow down or accelerate the drone. So that's X and the right and left trigger. So X and the left trigger will make it faster. So look how fast we are now. Let's have a look here. So here are some wine signs that are marking the edge of the airport. And now I'll use X and the right trigger to make it slower, but it didn't work. So it says it's airfield area, entrance forbidden, or no entry. I actually used to have signs like that on my airport. Airfield. There's taxiway. It used to be old military airfield or emergency military airfield, so that's why it has this infrastructure like concrete taxiways and no clue what that is. That's what I was trying to find. That's our bunker hangars. At least that's the Polish name. You can see there's a tree inside, which could totally happen. And it's basically shelter for a plane, a warplane that is supposed to hide it and shelter it from some hits. Well, people don't do those anymore, but you can certainly see a lot of them in many old military airfields. That's a tale that it was a military airfield. Now this concrete road here has been stripped away, and we have reached the end. Here you can see like there was a runway. Now here's the old part of the runway with the X's, so that you shouldn't use. I think the snow is messing up with this a bit. Okay, so you shouldn't use the X area, and there's like a concrete runway here that you shouldn't land on, and it's pretty long, so that can be very confusing. Just imagine you're trying to land here and you see, wow, there's a runway, but you're not supposed to land there. It can shake your aircraft quite a while. Well, actually, I forgot one thing. Let's do it now, or it's too late. We need to finalize our flight. And flight, your pilot report has been successfully received. I hope so. And you can close the ACARS and start another flight. Well, maybe tomorrow. It might take up 10 minutes for a flight to be processed. So that's when it'll show up on the website that I have finished the leg of a trip. So here it will show my name that there is activity, but it really takes a few minutes. Wow, it's already here. Perfect, you did it today. First leg out of 18. That's how many percent? Not too much. A bit more than 5. So I'll show you on the map what we did today. So we came here from Estonia, we flew all around the peninsula, we came through the seashore. Here was the military helicopter base, and we got all the way to the co-op. It's not very far, but with this small chill aircraft, it took us quite a while. Next we are going to Szczecin, but we'll not go straight away because that's boring. At least the terrain here is not very rewarding. So what we'll do is we'll go we'll follow the seashore again. Look, we lost it. So we'll follow the seashore, and we'll either go through this to the bay, which is actually a lake, or we go all the way to the border and then fly here. I'll see how that looks. So in real life there is a prohibited restricted area because there is a national park, so you cannot really go here when you're too low. So you have to be like above 3,000 feet. So I think I might want to have a look around here. We'll see. This area is also pretty cool. I used to fly here, like this route, so we might go this way because it's a bit shorter. I'm not super concerned about the time, and then we'll go inland. So navigating this part is a bit hard because there are not too many cities, and it's mostly forest. It's like a huge forest area here. You can see it on the satellite. And the last nice thing to see is this lake. You go to Poznan and then further inland to the mountains, fly along the mountains, go to the more industrial area, go back to the mountains again. I'll show you one cool mountain airstrip, and yeah. So long way to go. It's going quite slower. We back! Man, Jesus, you arrived safe and sound. At least I hope. Are you safe and sound? And we have arrived safe and sound. As you can see, you cannot see it. So look, we did our first leg. That's over 5% behind us. We follow the seashore and we are now here. And let's have a look inside. You can see that the visibility is perfect. It's just what you would like on the VFR day. Actually, it's pretty terrible. It was slightly better when we landed. Now it's just terrible. So what we did is we are good. Yeah, we're good. I'm glad we're good. So we flew over the airstrip, we went to see the city, and when we came back, the visibility just went down and we slammed the aircraft. Oh dang, lots of ground covered. Yeah, quite a lot. I mean, it's not a lot of kilometers, but it took us quite a long time. And we are exploring the airfield now, so it's old military or emergency military airfield. So part of the runway is operational, part is in-op. So you can clearly see by the axis. And there's all sorts of stuff here. And we landed here. I did bounce heavily, and I didn't notice I bounced because I heard the sounds that were suggesting I'm on the ground. I reduced the power to idle and we slammed again. Lurk, just in a conference call with 3 people. Cool, go ahead. And we landed here, and I was surprised that they have these premium taxiway signs. I mean, obviously in real life it doesn't have that. It's more like these flags. We parked here. Stevens has 2 aprons, so there's one of them. Here's the toilet, so that's first thing where your passengers might run to. Sponsored by Flight Simulator. We have some fuel. I try to get this drone a bit slower. And we have a taxiway here. There's apron 2 there. And there is this military bunker hangar. Oh, so that's probably as far as you can go. And the thing I wanted to show you, that's a tail that is on old military airport. It's here. There are those bunker hangars. So old military airports have a ton of them. They don't actually do them on the new airports, but... And we have the rain. Pretty cool. And there's this tree inside. Looking amazing. Let me have a look at this drone speed bindings, because I have it bound to the controller. Still... So I hold X and the right trigger and it's reducing the drone speed. And now it's really 0. As soon as it's like 10%, it's already super fast. So I'm not sure why it's... Well. Okay, let's get this down a bit. Okay, let's go back to the plane. Woo! And I also have a custom binding for the zoom. We have those bindings for the exposure, so that's pretty cool. It's burning my eyes now. Oh, remember that I chose the white aircraft so we can camouflage better in the snow. Well, turned out to be more true than I expected. And also when we landed, we had a huge crosswind. Like this windsock was really excited. Okay, I think that's it for me. I don't want to fly another flight today because another flight is pretty long, so we'll do it next time. And we've been up for what, 3 hours now? Cool. Hope you have fun. Had fun. I did. I think we handled the aircraft pretty well. Nothing really bad happened. I feel like a better pilot just watching. Yeah, that's great. I'm very happy to hear that. So I might have some tips here and there or some things that you need to do in real life, but you can totally skip in the sim. So I hope that you can learn something while watching. Obviously I don't do anything perfectly in the sim, and obviously I'm way sharper in real life because I put a lot of hours to prepare for any flight. So just remember, I'm way sharper when I fly normally, and here I just don't care all too much. Some things are not simulated super great. So remember when we were taking off, we had a huge tail crossing from the left, which I was not aware of, and in real life you can obviously feel and see it. You just see the snow. Like, what's going on there? It's crazy. So what happened? As soon as we lifted off the tail, our plane violently yawed to the left, which somewhat happens in a real craft, but you somewhat can feel it coming. So I never flew a tail dragger, so with the tricycle wheel you also feel that. So you raise the wheel and you need to adjust your rudder, because now the effect on the wind pushing your tail is much stronger. Of course, there's no friction from the wheel in front of the back. But I think in this aircraft, because the wheel is in the back, I think like we would see it coming, or we would feel it coming. I don't know. So our takeoff was totally boring, but yeah, we're here, safe and sound. What do you want to do next? I need to pick up the base. It's here. 10 minutes. I think you noticed it, did you? I need to find a better spot for it so you can actually see it. I'll just put it in front of the table so you can see it better. But I'll go get it. I'll try to play the same thing that we played in the beginning, which is the bad guy. Because you have to be a bad guy to fly in this kind of weather. That was the idea today. And we'll do it right. So, ooh, what? Ooh, the base, or ooh, good flight, or yeah, let's do it. And you can't find someone that we can write, so if you can suggest someone, I'll be very happy. I knew that was the song. Yeah, I was thinking what to play, and this tune came to my mind, and I have to think for a while what I'm playing. So I'm not sure if you know, but if you're playing instrument, you get this muscle memory. So sometimes, because I'm not a musician, professional one at least, I very often cannot hear the tune, and sometimes I have this muscle memory, so sometimes I do not know what the tune sounds like until I start playing it, which is so bizarre, because I have the muscle memory, but I cannot remember how it sounds like, which for music is a bit weird. That's how it sometimes works for me. Another time I can hear the music in my head, but I don't remember how to play it, so I need to try and make some mistakes and then get back to it. Fingers just do its thing. Yeah? Do that with the guitar too. You play the guitar? I had no idea. Cool. It's very nice. So, can recommend playing any instrument. You obviously don't have to be great at it. If you can just play something, it's very cool. It can chill you down, or something new to learn, some new area to explore. And I do recommend diving into some music theory, because when I was young I learned the guitar and I was only trying to learn some tunes, and at the end of the day I couldn't really play anything, so that didn't work very well. When I picked up the bass, I started the other way, because I found Scott's bass lessons on the internet, and I grabbed that, and there I learned some of the music theory. So now I can barely play any tunes, or I cannot play anything that you want, or I can barely play anything very well, but I can put together a piece of two that sounds reasonable, because I'm just using the theory. So theory sounds a bit scary, but it's better to call it tools. It gives you some frame of reference, and some tools that you can use. And with the bass, it's actually more important to know some of the theory. You don't really need to play anything smart or well sounding. You can just play in the root notes, like 4, 4, 4, and it can be perfect. You can add some articulation to it, and it sounds just great. So it's very funny, because in the guitar it works the other way around. I played the violin and classical guitar. Very nice, Jesus. Violin is hard. It's cool, but if you can't play it, you'll hurt the ears of your neighbors or parents. Yes, I'm not sure if you noticed, but we have the overlay from Volanta. The Volanta update came out today, and I was really looking forward to this update, so I jumped in and used this overlay, and I love it. I like the violin way more than the guitar. Yeah, violin is cool. I play not violin, but okay. I played a viola, which is like a larger version of violin, which sounds a bit lower, for 5 minutes, that I borrowed from my friend, and it's pretty cool, but it has the different frettings that the guitar, so it's not 5 frets but 8, if I remember correctly. It's a bit weird. You need to do some math and then you can put your tune. You look like a viola player. Yeah, I'll actually play the cello or the double bass. Double bass is fun name. Or maybe double bass is a bit too big. I prefer the electric bass. But cello? Yeah, viola is cool. Actually, viola is cool. It's small enough to carry around and it sounds okay. The violin kills my ears. Viola is cool. Okay, let me get up and get the bass. So I'll be walking around. Don't worry. What you saw just now, I had to lean to unlock the wheels in my chair, so the wheels are lockable. I see the trouble coming. Kitty is still pretty chill. So I had to unlock the wheels in my chair, and I lock them every time I sim, so I do not slide back. And that I really wanted to get a chair with the lockable wheels. So yeah, here we go. I need to copy this from you. Advanced emotes are pretty cool. We also have the dance emotes from 10 minutes, who was here earlier. Or maybe still chilling with the conference call. Dank. Is there a checklist for the chair? Probably. Like, hey, make sure those side things are not in the way, so you can actually lean and not kill yourself. Make sure there's a room for your head so you do not hit anything. Then you have to, when moving forward, just lock the wheels. When unlocking it's a bit easier. Yeah, it sounds funny, but what about the POH? It's COH, Chair Operating Handbook. Or Chairman Operating Handbook. I'm pretty sure the COH. But it sounds all fine and dandy, but actually, if you mess up with the chair in your aircraft, it can kill you. And that's an area that I think is often overlooked. And whenever I see the item in the checklist, seats lock, seat belts fasten, I'm like, okay, seat belts again. Like I fasten my seat belts all the time, but it's actually super important. And it's not only that you adjusted it to the place you want, you actually have to make sure that it clicked. Oh, actually I can see it pretty well. You have to make sure that it clicked into the spot, because it can sometimes lock between the clicks and there's enough friction so that it's not moving, but as soon as the aircraft accelerates or you start rotating, you can slide all the way back. And the worst thing is that you can pull the yoke, but even if you do not pull the yoke, you can end up in a place when you cannot reach the instruments and you have nothing to hold on to pull forward. Oversighter, hey, very nice to see you here. I'm very happy that you came. So we are ending here. We flew on the seashore, all along the seashore. I was showing earlier. I didn't show it, I think. The lessons that I took from my base. So these are the only ones where I learned more about the music theory, less about playing any particular tune. So that really helped me. I can recommend it to you. It's pretty great. It's not a deal breaker, but it has everything just the right amount. It's fun and theoretical enough. So it is fun to watch. It's nice to learn. It gets you very useful tool early on. And you can actually learn to play something that makes sense without too much effort. And it's really emphasized here that it has to make sense, it doesn't have to be too fancy. So on bass you can just play one note all over again and you can articulate it well and it will sound great. I can show you. Bass is kind of a percussive instrument. And what I was saying that we flew this tour earlier, so we flew around the seashore from Estonia here to the end, and we ended up over here now. So that's where we are. And the weather was pretty okay, just until we're about to land. Not even 10 minutes until landing, like 1 minute, okay, 2 minutes until landing, and then it will all bad. So let me grab it and I'll show you what I mean. Here is the base. As if you're not too busy, you can find someone to ride in the meantime. I would be very grateful if you can do that. Also, do not forget we have the blurb and solar alerts. I can play the test ones. DC redeemed one blurb today.
Official consulting hours are between 8 and 5 every other Thursday.
Yeah. I can give you a tip here and there. It's not official consulting hours though. And we have the sound alerts. So let me have a look. Here's our base. Let's kill the vibes. And what I was about to do? Yeah, play whatever I played on the intro, which was the bad guy. So this goes off for you and for me. We played today Japanese lo-fi chill radio 24/7 no copyright. That's the one. It's pretty awesome. I like it. And here we have the bass. Okay, the mic is not picking up. Tristan! First time in the chat. Hey Tristan, very nice to see you. We ended the flight, but yeah, we did the GA and you arrived in the snowy place. We have the fancy apron and the terminal. There's a terminal. It says terminal. See? We did the GA flight. The weather now is unplayable, but before it was pretty cool, like, actually. I like those signs, and those $1 billion signs, they're not there on the real airfield, and they come from the scenery from Slide MTO. That's the river one. And as you can see, we have the overlay on top from Volanta, which released today. Did you use VATSIM? Yes, I did use VATSIM. Actually, I should disconnect, I think. So let's show again. So we did this flight. Okay. You probably don't know where we are, so let me zoom out. Yes, I did use VATSIM, but there was no one there, and I got a bit too high workload, so I forgot to call my takeoff call, but we did call in the landing. So yeah. So that's the tour we are doing. Here's Poland, and we are doing this tour around Poland, and today we just flew around along the seashore from here, then to the peninsula and all the way to the co-object. So we are here now. Yes, next time we'll fly along the seashore here, and then we'll see how long this takes. We are flying in Wilga. We were using only the chart and looking out the window, no GPS Volanta whatsoever. I had the Volanta running in the background, but I was not looking at it. I was only looking at the charts on the nav graph, which are pretty good for the VFR flying now. And I always rotate it so that the route is up. It's pretty okay when you fly like this, but when it's upside down, then it can really mess your perception. So it's a good idea to turn it so you have route up. And I also have the add-on from Flights and Seal, We Love VFR, which is putting all of these obstacles in the sim. So you can see the wind turbines, chimneys, towers, whatnot. That's pretty cool. It was quite a long time. I didn't even run the clock, so I'm not sure how long the flight was. We can see it probably in the flight report. And we have the base for the outro, and we will do some rides. And I don't know how it goes. Sometimes I need to fiddle a bit and then the muscle memory kicks in. And what I was saying before, you can just play one note and it sounds pretty good. You get the idea. Alright, I think that's it. Let's find someone to write. So give me a moment. I'll put on the vibes again and we will find someone to write. So let's go to Misfits category and see who's there. It's Two-Tone Murphy. That's a big one. Hope he'll notice us, but I know some friends are also watching Two-Tone Murphy and he hasn't been up the whole weekend, I think. So yeah, let's go and write him. How do you feel? Let's do that.
Yes, hello?
So that's the two-tone. That's the tone right there. So let's write him, say hi. I had a great time with you and I'll see you around the next time. So the race is starting soon. Get your remotes ready, whatever you have, and are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? I'm almost ready. Just 2 clicks away. Okay, I'm ready. Let's go. Thank you for coming. See you next time. Bye. See ya.